and welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 11 of Sacred Sunday. Today, we are going to be working with the Love Yourself Oracle deck. Um, in the description box, I did put some links for a few things that Spirit may or you may want to check out. Um, I was feeling a lot of energy from Spirit this last week, and a lot of things just started to build up, and Mercury going retrograde, and we're at the end of Cancer. Leo season is starting in a few days, and then we've got the new moon in Leo on the 24th, a few days right after that. And then we have the Lionsgate portal starting on the 26th. So, and the apex of the 8-8 portal. Okay, so a lot's coming through already. I am not getting shaky, but I'm definitely feeling like Spirit wants me to jump in. So, or I should say, yesterday, Spirit had me shoot a little video updating you guys on the remodel that Alder and I did this past week on our little tiny home. And we were also discussing all the things I just spoke about: Mercury retrograde, Lionsgate portal, all that stuff. And while I was doing it, I was about to go into like this really serious topic. Literally, as I was going into the serious topic, I just got this vibe from Spirit that I needed to stop. But I thought I was going to at least finish what I was saying and then stop, and the video stopped. So if you watched it, then you know it did stop. In a very weird place, but we're kind of picking up here. So it ties into why we are working with the Love Yourself Oracle deck. I actually was, you know what? I feel like I want to welcome. By the way, I can never see people. If you don't want to be seen, you don't have to identify yourself. I can just see that people are coming and going. Like I can see people coming on, but there's absolutely no obligation on your end to participate. I'm just letting you know that I can see you. Oh, that's so weird. I just grabbed a brand new candle and look at it's like, because I was like, oh, I feel like we need some light over here. But you know what? I feel like the reason why it's like a dummy candle. It literally came out of the box like that. Sometimes you can burn them weird, but anyway, I digress. So a lot of interesting things have been coming through this week in terms of loving ourselves, protecting ourselves. I know the lighting's not super great, but they don't want it to be that way. Just like all of these things. And the shadow that we're in right now is pretty intense. Cancer season, I have to admit, I mean, maybe it's because maybe it hasn't whooped my ass yet, because we do have a few more days in real time. Today is Sunday, the 20th. So it could very well be that in the next 3 days, or between now and uh, Leo coming in on Tuesday, maybe I'll have a breakdown in the next 24 to 48 hours. But anyway, and if you do, allow yourself the breakdown. Hi, Anna. Hi, Anna. I'm okay. How are you? Hey, you guys, say welcome to Anna. She's the president of the Magical Medium. Maybe we should think of a different term, because now the president just has a different meaning for me right now. Maybe you can give yourself your own, what you feel like. I mean, all of you guys, so many of you have been with me for years, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. But there are some of you that are just more of, you're the, like, if this were a movie, you'd be the supporting cast. You know what I mean? Like everybody, we're all our own star of our own movie. Yay, Anna's good too. Good, yay. How are you feeling physically, Anna? Are you feeling more healed? Are you back to 100%? Although right before you jumped on, I was just talking about the Cancer energy. I don't know if anybody's really feeling 100% right now. I've been noticing on my videos that I've been saying and so a lot more than I think I've ever in like my life. Or maybe maybe I always have and I'm just paying attention to it. I don't know. I feel like Spirit's trying to get us to be more in tune with our words and our thoughts and what we think and what we feel. And We're all stars. Of course, you know what? See, that's why I say that about Anna, because for her to even say something like that, she's like, we're all stars. Yes, we're all stars. Yes, we are. But, or are you saying like all stars, like a title, all stars, instead of the president? My leg's getting better. Thank you. Okay, good. Well, because, Mercury's in full retrograde, you guys. We've got how many planets in retrograde? You know what's funny is I brought my calendar out and I was going to do all of these things with you guys, but I'm getting this vibe to be super fucking chill. Also, I don't know how many strains of cannabis right now. A lot, at least 5. And I always use my pendulum. I don't even know which one it is. I don't label them. I don't say whether it's sativa or indica or whether it's a blend. I just use my pendulum. And so I know this is a newer one he got me, but I was like, oh, I hope it's the sativa one. It made me feel like Willy Wonka. And then right before I started this, I smoked it. I'm like, dude, I feel so chill. Like I feel so mellow, but I feel like this is the energy they want me to bring into this session. So, I do as, not as I'm told, but I do as I'm instructed. I do as, as I'm like pulled to do. So with that being said, today we are going to pull cards from the Love Yourself Oracle. And for those of you who have seen the latest episode that I told you about, I'm actually on it. It's not a podcast. I'm on it. And it was actually really fucking weird because I was having these really deep, deep thoughts about self-love and family and, parting of ways, relationships, you name it. I was like going through the gamut of all these different emotions. And I don't know about you guys, but I do my dishes by hand, so a lot of times when I'm doing dishes, I just get super like it's meditative for me. So while I'm in there doing dishes, all these thoughts started coming through, and I was thinking that, okay, so let me just preface this by telling you guys, like, just prepare yourself for what I'm about to say. Some of you will believe it, and those of you who don't believe it, I don't even know if you should really be here, but I'm glad that you're here, but believe it. So in my entire life, I've been doing things with my mind, and I, somewhere along the line, convinced myself that I couldn't do anything. I couldn't, even when I worked with a child once, that told me that he could move things with his mind. And I said, I believe you. And I said, I don't expect you to do it right now. If you want to do it right now, you can. But he felt comfortable with his mom and his sister sitting in on his session. Because I always ask the parents, like, do you want the parent, do you want to be here? Or do you, a lot of times the parents, they're there just because, I think they want to hear like what's happening, but I know that they would trust me. And I have had parents who are like, would you like me to leave the room? And I'm like, it's really up to the child. So anyway, they didn't want to like tell me too much, but I was sensing a lot of things that were going on. And long story short, I absolutely believed him that he could move things with his mind, because not only did I know this child very well, but also I moved things with my mind when I was a child and nobody believed me. So we are getting to the point now where we've been under mind control of outer sources for so long that we have lost our strength and our gifts and our beliefs in ourselves, and our belief in ourselves. And so I feel like what Spirit's going to be doing, and why we're going to keep up with these live Sacred Sundays, is because there's such an energy that's on the planet right now that's accessible to us. But this energy didn't feel accessible to us before. It's always been here, but it's been laying dormant. You know what I mean? Sometimes the energies, it's like we've gotten so used to, like, if I can't see it, smell it, taste it, you know what I mean? All these, these very limited senses, these very third dimensional senses, instead of feeling and knowing and going through the energy of our outer senses. So while I was doing the dishes yesterday, I was having these deep thoughts, and I'm like, this is the time when I wish I could just like fucking, in my mind, I'm like, man, this is the time I wish I could just like, because my hands are in the water, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I could just like turn on my phone and have everything set up, blah, blah, blah. And then my music was on. And all of a sudden my music stopped. And the only time my music stops is when like someone's calling me kind of thing. So I turned around and then I noticed that it was running. And I had put my phone there and I didn't like put it together, like what was happening, like that spirit was like building this fucking video. That's why you saw me. It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are here. And so I took a minute because I was like, holy shit. But I feel like all of that happened yesterday, and I put a link in the description box. It starts with like, I think it says like remodel update, Mercury retrograde, blah, 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 blah. And you'll see me on there. But anyway, like I didn't get ready or anything. I was just like, fuck it, like whatever, like this is how it is. But it was really interesting because when it ended and how it ended, I was going to start another video. And then I got the vibe from Spirit that they wanted me to continue it on to this Sacred Sunday. And maybe there's messages in there, maybe because somebody, wanted to see that video and they'll miss it. I don't know. But it was interesting because I felt like we were just getting to the juicy part. And then it's like, and then I laughed because I was like, oh, Mercury retrograde. I'm like, fuck, you just got here. But at the same time, I was like, no, it makes sense that we'd go into this, especially when they showed me that we were going to use the Love Yourself Oracle. I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Perfect love, perfect sense, all is well. We are struggling in the self-love department. A lot of us, especially the star seeds and the light workers. When I looked down, it was 1133. So that's our angel number today, which is also the number 6. And, the reason why most star seeds struggle the hardest. Oh, wow, this one just popped out. Oh my gosh, okay. This happened last time, but this one didn't come out. So this is what the deck looks like for Love Yourself. This comes from one of our tribe members, Jules. This comes from her, like, I don't know if it was just an affirmation deck or whatever, but she would send these to me randomly. They're called Miracles Now. I love, love, love. So if you can find these, I highly recommend you get them. They're really great because on the other side, they have all these great affirmations. This says, I make time to recharge my battery. The world needs my energetic light. Yes. And that makes a lot of sense right now, right? Because I feel like some people are offended by Louise Hay. They don't want to see that. You know what? I understand. You feel like she betrayed you. But you know what? She didn't betray you. She betrayed herself is what she did. And actually, you have to look at it this way too. Someone who was that connected to spirit for that long and then flips a switch like that, that's some shit that like maybe was like so deep down inside of them that they never healed or never looked at. And then like it just like threw in their face like one day and they're like, holy shit. Because it's bizarre for me to look at certain things and I'm like, did Louise Hay like leave her body and some other person take over? I mean, seriously, so I can understand why people have that energy, but Spirit's saying, let it go. Like that's her story. That's her, you know what I mean? That's her shit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad shit. It's just her shit. It's what she's going through. It's what she's dealing with. So just send her love and healing energy. She'll figure it out. She'll figure it out. I think a lot of Christians are going through that right now. These 2 cards were like jumping at me so hard. So let me see which one wants to go first. Okay. I live and work in comfort and ease and beauty. So they didn't want me to bring any light in. They want us to be super chill today. There's a message on the back of this one too, but they don't want it to come in yet. Yeah, because this energy is intense right now on the planet, and if we don't, love ourselves, we aren't going to be able to love others. And I'm so grateful that RuPaul used that mantra because, I mean, what a mantra to put out into the world. Like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but the first time I saw RuPaul, I was actually very blessed to meet RuPaul before RuPaul blew up. And it was probably one of the most magical moments of my life. Drink some water, they said. Everybody drink some water. I had just moved to Los Angeles. MAC had just opened, MAC Makeup. And there were all of these people. And my friend who lived there, it was my best friend from from junior high childhood. We lived in Los Angeles. They were gay. They're still gay, as far as I know. But anyway, it was 1995, and it was my first time like really getting onto the scene. RuPaul was huge in the drag community, but like not to like the common day person, Not in my experience, and I was really connected to pop culture at that time. So all I know is that I had heard about this MAC makeup and I wanted to go check it out. And they're like, oh, the flagship store, I think it was on Sunset. It was on Sunset or Santa Monica Boulevard. I can't remember now. It's a long time ago. I want to say it was on one, it might have been on Santa Monica. Anyway, I digress. So all of a sudden, I just saw this creature. I saw all these drag queens. It's like I turned the corner and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what is going on? And I just saw like just gay pride flags and just, I was like, what is happening? And again, this is 1995, Los Angeles. I moved from Chicago. Even though I was a city girl, I might as well have been a country bumpkin, right? So I come around the corner and I just see this color and art and creativity and joy and love. And it was just amazing energy. And then they did this whole thing and they were like, without further ado, RuPaul. And I was like, who's RuPaul? And they come out and I'm like, oh, I just remember literally gasping and my breath being taken from my body. 1614 angel number, which is also number 12, which is also number 3. And it was so powerful. They were so beautiful and so tall. I mean, I'm like just at maybe 5'2 3/4, okay? And I was wearing like sandals, right? Like I'm just like walking around in flip-flops kind of thing. So they come out in these like crazy tall like heels, and it was just one of the most magical moments of my life. It was like I got to meet RuPaul for the first time, like in energy, like of them. And then I got to like, but literally got to meet them. So everybody was, walking around and doing things and stuff. And I was just in awe of her. Like, I don't know how it happened or what happened because it was like, I felt like I was in a fucking tractor beam. And I'm 23, right? And again, it's like my first like I mean, one of the first moments when I was in LA that I loved the most was I was waiting in line for cigarettes and I thought this big, beautiful, gorgeous woman was in front of me who had the nicest ass I've ever seen in my life. And then they turned around and I realized it was a drag queen. So, I mean, the drag culture like came to me very, very early on in my time there. So all of a sudden, I don't know how we started talking or what happened. Oh, I think if I remember correctly, they said something to me like, "Are you okay, little girl?" She kept saying, "Are you okay, little girl?" When I was 23, I really looked like I was like 17, especially when I had no makeup on and all that. When I was dolled up, I looked my age, but when I had no makeup on, which I didn't, and I had my white blonde hair and, tan, I just like look like an all-American little white girl from, the girl next door. And most likely I was wearing overalls because I loved wearing jean overalls or jean short overalls. So I probably did look like a little girl to RuPaul. And I said, "You're so beautiful." And I started to get like teary eyed and they're like, "Oh my God." They're like, "Oh my gosh." Like, they're like, "You're so precious." I'm like, "You're so beautiful." I'm like, "Oh my," I said, I'm like, "You're so beautiful. I've never seen you before." And they're like, "Where are you from? Where are you visiting from?" And I was like, "I just moved here from Chicago." We ended up just having this amazing conversation. So for me, I've had a love for RuPaul in my heart for so long because RuPaul just really gave us this, if you don't love I'm starting to get emotional. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to love anyone else? So, in order for us to love ourselves and love each other, we have to take time to recharge our battery. The world needs our energetic light. That's why RuPaul, you don't see, the man behind RuPaul very often. And when you do, it's people, I think people are blown away how incredibly intelligent he is. Like incredibly intelligent and definitely an earth angel. I definitely feel it. I felt it when I was in their presence. I mean, I genuinely am not joking. I felt like I was in a tractor beam of just beauty and love, self-acceptance. And, even though 1995, people were definitely like coming out more and things like that, it's still, I mean, AIDS was still very fresh and the gay man's disease and all that kind of things. Oh, thanks. Anna's like, "That's a sweet story, Lula." It really was. I mean, it just was such a cool moment. And I know either definitely going to know them in this lifetime, or like we'll know each other again, but there's something so special about them and their radiance, but it really stems from loving themselves and accepting themselves. And that's the message they want to give us. This is, it's not just the sacred Sunday before, it's like the last Sunday of the Cancer season and the Cancer moon, which is very emotional and beautiful, but it's also, the darkness. We're in the shadow as we are going to be going back into the light of Leo. And I was gently reminded by another leader and healer today that a lot of planets are going to be in retrograde in Leo, So when that happens, you have to remember that we're going to be, you may feel the awesomeness and the creativity and the I am here energy, which is awesome, of the Leo taking charge. But also the shadow side of Leo can get really ugly, So think of all the wonderful things of Leo and think of the opposite of that, right? Like, I'm not getting attention. Why aren't people paying attention to me? Right? And that fire energy of me, 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 and like, get out of my way. I'm important, There's just all, 2117. Oh, that's interesting. Another 12, number 3. So that's for something for us to look at. And also remember that things go in cycles of 7 and also in 12. 12 is a really big cycle. 12 months, 12 zodiacs. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on of how many things that go in cycles and experiences. So Chiron's going retrograde at the end of the month as well. So it's going to be a very intense but beautiful time. So it says on this card here, it says, I live and work in comfort and ease and beauty. So these are the kind of things that they want us to keep in our mind when things may be tough. The flip side of this says, my home is a reflection of me, and I choose to make it a wonderful place to live. It's really important that they're saying this right now, because ever since the remodel happened, now I'm like really excited because Mercury's in retrograde, but it is going to go direct while we're still in Leo season. So I'm grateful that we actually we'll have had, nearly a week of Mercury going retrograde at the beginning of Cancer energy, because once we're in the double fire, because, the new moon, we have, today is the 20th, which is also a 9-day, which we're in a 9-year, and today is the 11th episode. I mean, there's just all this numerology and beautiful, connections with us in spirit today. But what they wanted to also say is, so in 2 days, we have Leo coming in, right? And then 2 days after that, the 24th, is the new moon in Leo. And then on the 26th, we will be in the Lionsgate portal will begin to open. And then we will be at the apex of it on the 8th. It'll be in full bloom, full blossom on the 8th. So there will be so many things that will be taking place and transpiring. This is the time to work on yourself, be a little more selfish in terms of what maybe other people would, 2332, which is also 5 and 5, change and transformation. And those are mirroring each other. When you put those together, they're 10. It's time for some things to clear up and end, take the 0 off, 1, and start some new beginnings. Leo, drink some water. Oh man, I can feel you guys. I can feel your throat chakra is tightening up. I know it's scary. I know you're fucking scared. I can feel, here's the thing, right? I love you. I'm an empath. I feel your fear. I know it's fucking scary, but it's only scary if you make it scary. What if you flip the switch? What if you don't make it scary? My home is a reflection of me, and I choose to make it a wonderful place to live. Maybe you have a roommate, maybe you have a significant other, and things aren't going the way you want them to. Live your best life. And when they're bringing their shadow home or bringing their shit home, I know that this is not something I normally would promote, but I heard from Spirit, it's okay to have an escape route. Just make sure that it's one that's healthy. Is there, a 24-hour fitness? Is there a 24-hour cafe? Is there somewhere, that you can go to get away for a few hours? maybe until they go to bed, maybe until they go to work, maybe until, you know what I mean? But like working, hello, welcome. Oh, tell me your name again. Is that your name, Chanley? I feel like I remember you being here before. Welcome. Anna's here too. And thank you for the thumbs up, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm good. How are you? Chanley, I don't remember what your name is, and I don't mean that to be rude, but sometimes when I'm working with spirit, it's like things go in and out. And I've been like this has been one of the craziest, most stress Shandara. I'm good. How are you? Have you been here before? Because I feel like you've been here before. Whatever feels comfortable, honestly. And have you been here before, Chanley? I feel like you've been here before. Welcome. Or if not, then I just, our energy sometimes. Yeah, okay, you've been here before. Welcome back. I thought so. We love it. We love it. We love it. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. So all of this that's happening right now, it's happening for a reason. Oh my gosh, a big, beautiful white butterfly just flew by. Hi, ancestors. I always say grandmother or mom or auntie, because they have that for me, for my ancestors. Also, my strawberry plant, her name is Sugar Pop. And she says hello as well. You should see, she's got beautiful strawberries coming off of her. Talk about resilience, by the way, that plant. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need to do a story on her, but she's really powerful. I rescued her and I didn't think she was going to make it through a winter. So I just left her to die. And she fucking went through one of the most brutal winters. Who's your brother in spirits? Interesting. You said brother. So you said brother in spirits. But anyway, she has come back, and all of my other, you guys know, Jazzy died. So many of my plants died. Goldie died. But I swear it's almost like they all like channeled themselves into my strawberry plant. It's so powerful. So I apologize if I have attention span of a gnat today. I'm really tired. Spirit had me go in more of an even keel, like kind of lower energy medicine today, which is totally fine. But I did feel it yesterday that I was like, okay, I've been pushing myself too far. So I feel like this is a message for all of us to take it easy, slow down, is somebody having an eye twitch? Because my eye started twitching last Sacred Sunday, and then I was doing some spirit work on Thursday with a fellow tribe member, and my eye started to twitch, and I was like, dude, I'm like, is your eye twitching? So, and now my eye just started twitching again. So is anybody, or are you just feeling really stressed out? Because either way, I'm getting this vibe from spirit, like, take time to recharge the battery. The world needs your energetic light. So let's jump back to, so we're going to be jumping around a lot. We have a lot of messages that are coming through. But when they were saying my home is a reflection of me and I choose to make it a wonderful place to live, I pushed my partner. Oh, Anna, I don't know what you're saying no to. When I jump around and you guys say no, sometimes I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you saying no to? Are you saying no, like you're not feeling tired and no, your eye's not twitching? Is that what you're saying? Ooh. Sorry. This is where I'm sure they're going to eventually do this. What would be much better would be if we can have like a more interactive, like where we can all kind of be like on a Zoom together. Although, you know what, it's probably the same because not everybody wants to be on camera. I said to Spirit today, I'm doing a second round of remodeling this coming week. And I said to Spirit, I was like, I'm like, if I set this thing up here and I put this thing here, I'm like, then I can actually show myself. Anna winked, no eye twitch. Okay, cool. Thank you. But feel free to comment below when you watch this, because even though you're not here on the live, when you watch it back later, I'm just curious to know, because a lot of times we're so connected. I take on other people's things sometimes when I'm really low and need to recharge my battery. 29, 24. Those feel like ages, by the way. And it feels like the divine masculine is 29 and the divine female is 24. I don't know what that means to anybody or what that is, but that's interesting. That just came through out of nowhere. So I always have to say it. But yeah, it's just like this energy of where I was like, would it be better if I'm on the camera? But then I realized it would be harder for me to do that because to interact with you guys, it would be harder to do that. You know what I mean? Like the camera, I'm doing it from my phone. It's so far away. And even if I wear my readers, it's like the writing is so small. So I feel like for the interactive, it's meant to be this way. Like you're not meant to see me. Although I do feel like I will be doing some more interactive ones that are live, but not on Sacred Sunday. Does that make sense? Like I have a feeling, don't quote me, but but I have a feeling I'm going live for the 8/8 portal. So, where is my calendar? Now they're having me look at the calendar. I want to say it's on a Friday. Oh no, it's on it. It's on it. No, I'm looking at July. I'm looking at the wrong month. I was like, oh, Bailey, it's Bailey's birthday. It is on a Friday. So the 8/8 portal is on a Friday, you guys. And what's really interesting is that it's because of 2025 is a 9 year. Oh, that's your birthday? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's a Friday. Wow. Happy birthday, Chanley. She'll be 42. Wow. Happy birthday, beautiful soul. I swear that's probably why you were meant to be here. So I don't know if I'm going to go live or not, but I have a feeling, 8883. Wow. I want to know, can you imagine 8888? 83 is really powerful though, because 83 is 11. Let's see. So 1983. So 1983 would be 10, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it'd be a 3, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you're a 1. You're a life path 1. Although you're supposed to add your time, your birth time too. Wow, that's intense, Chanley. Fuck. That's so awesome. Anna said, happy birthday, Chanley, for the 8th. That's awesome. So I may be going live. I have this feeling, well, let's put it this way. I want to go live, but if I don't, it'll be for a different reason. The only reason why I could think that maybe, I don't know if you guys could see each other, but Chanley says, thank you. That's Anna. Libero spirito. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it means free spirit in Italian. And that's Anna. So you guys can meet each other. So Anna's our all-star. Anna's one of our all-stars. So, meaning like she's been with us a really long time. We've been doing this for a long time. Anna, I think I realized, I think we've been doing this for 7 years because you were one of the first people. I think you were one of the first people that came, that subscribed to my YouTube channel. I think you were. And we met on Instagram. So that means that's how long we've known each other, which is so cool and so crazy. Yeah, she's so cute. Anna, if you yeah, look at me speaking for you guys. Can you, I just don't know. I guess because I'm like, can you guys see each other? Okay, you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. No, I'm just kidding. Remember, coffee talk? Oh, I'm in such a weird mood, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting the giggles when I'm overtired. It makes me miss my mom. When my mom and I would get overtired, oh my gosh, it was just so like cute. Anyway, getting back to this. A lot of stuff's going on. A lot of stuff's going on. So today is the 20th, episode 11, Love Yourself. So that means we've got, what, like 3 weeks almost? 1, 2, yeah, like 3 weeks or a little less than 3 weeks. And I feel like this Lionsgate portal is going to be one of the most amazing, magical. I just feel like all of it's going to be really magical. And then we got the full moon in Aquarius, which is like one of my favorite signs of all time. And the thing I love about Aquarius energy and Leo energy when they come together, Aquarians are so creative and inventive and just so connected to like everything. It's just, I love them. They're also, do you know, out of all the signs, there's fewer Aquarians than any other sign in the zodiac, like by a large margin too. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys are, I'm like, are you guys, by the way, I'm like, I don't know if you guys are talking to each other or myself. I stopped looking. So I just saw Anna, you said, I get that too. Maybe it's the energy. And then Chanley's like, I feel like it's beautiful feeling. I feel it's beautiful feeling on any portal. Very intense. Yeah, I feel that too. For sure, for sure. And this in particular though, this particular energy, I mean, we just had so many things going on, you know, and all these retrogrades and also, you know, we've got the meteor shower. I mean, there's just so much that's happening. And I wouldn't be surprised on this Lionsgate portal. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I did a meditation with Steve Noble. It was a world like meditation kind of thing that he did. I don't know if he does them every year, but he did it. It was many moons ago because it was when we were living at the farm, and we haven't lived at the farm in like 3 years. So, and I think it was even like earlier than that, maybe 5 years ago. But whenever it was, we did a world meditation thing, and Alder and I literally like we both felt like we were floating off the fucking couch. It was so intense. And I feel like there's going to be something like that going on. So even if I go live on the 8-8 portal, it might not be a reading. It might just be like, you know, maybe like a Reiki or like some type of spiritual thing or something. But I feel like something major is, you know, something wicked this way comes, but in a good way. But do you guys remember that when I did that, I my hands like in the middle of the meditation, my hands just started doing all these things they've never done before. I never opened my eyes once. From the time he started it till it ended, my body was doing all these things. I didn't even pay attention to Alder. After it was done, I was like, dude, did you like see me? He's like, no, I didn't open my eyes. I'm like, did you feel me? He's like, I felt you doing something. He's like, but I didn't want to open my eyes. I just wanted to stay in it. I'm like, yeah, it was so cool. But all I can tell you was it was so I'm gonna close my eyes, and if you can close your eyes too, maybe you know you'll be able to see what I see. So all I saw were these massive gold doors that opened. It was almost like in the shape of a harp, but if like a harp was more rounded at the top, and if it was like, you know, mirrored itself, like folded open and like had an archway, you know what I'm saying, where one side was this way and one side. So all I know is it was like gold, and there was just this beautiful light, and the doors opened, and it was kind of like the Wizard of Oz, but not the Wizard of Oz. I mean, it was just so much more fantastical and glorious, and I just saw all these angels and light beings and animals, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed in my entire life, and in any incarnation that I can remember. um and there were like almost like sparks coming off of it, and I was like, I wonder if that's why the meteor shower happens, right? Like why it always happens like this time of year, you know what I mean? But it was just so magical. It was so magical. And I'm feeling that again, but I feel like it's going to be even more. I feel like it's just like, it's as if we've been like, if you think of the Wizard of Oz and like the golden bricks, it's like we've been paving the way with the gold bricks between worlds for like centuries. And now it's like, I feel like now is the time, now is the hour. We have the strength, we have the power. And I feel like it's just gonna like a whole new world, right? Like it's like we're just like a whole new world is going to open up to us, one that like we couldn't even like understand before, because it was almost as if our brains wouldn't allow us to understand it because we were so deep in the matrix. And now that we're so far out of the matrix, all of the karma is coming for all of these people. I mean, we all see it. I'm not saying I want anyone to get hurt or anyone to, you know, whatever, but like, look at that. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. Oh, by the way, this little feather, I just looked down and this little feather just was on me. So I mean, I do have like feather things, but like I didn't see that until now. So that was really powerful. But did you guys see? I mean, I'm not laughing like it's funny, because I mean, people were really, really hurt. But the Coldplay concert of that couple that were cheating, that went viral. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we're going to continue to see. You know, maybe it's that influencer who like acts like Polly Perfect, but like in the middle of like a live stream, someone's going to actually pull their wig off, or, you know what I mean? Like, where they'll be like, you know, where they're going to have to come clean, or like stop lying about this or that. Or I mean, I've been seeing it. There have been spiritual leaders that have been saying that about themselves. Literally. They're like, yeah, my house was, you know, part of that flood, or my house was part of that fire, or, you know, oh yeah, that was like, you know, my family member, that's what happened. And they said like they started to get more into the greed, you know. I know, isn't that crazy? Um, let me see this. Yes, I just saw that you guys wrote something. Angelic realm. Yes, exactly. I was in the angelic realm. And so, oh, so you saw it? You're saying you saw the cheating. That was crazy. Yeah. So sorry, you guys. They're talking, so I'm trying to like see what they're saying and then talk to you guys too. It's just, if it's distracting, I apologize. But if it's not, you know, just, and if it is, just roll with it. You know, that's why we do these lives. They're interactive. I want you guys to be able to interact. I want you to talk about things. I want you to, you know. Um, but Anna, if you're on Instagram, Anna, if you still have your channel, I can't even look at things anymore. They've gotten to the point now, even if you click on it, you have to get the app. They got what was that term? They got quick to what was happening and what people were doing. Um, but Anna's Instagram channel is amazing. That's how we found each other. I found her Instagram channel and started following her because she was such an amazing inspiration and she inspired me all the time. And the only reason why I can't see her things is because I'm not on Instagram. So, yeah, but that, you know, that affair blew up and now we're seeing all these other things. And now they're saying the grand jury is going to open, you know, the Epstein files, like all this shit's going to come to be. And, you know, you guys, you know, I rarely say things like this, but Spirit told me yesterday, only yesterday, we may have had feelings or, you know, whatever about the sitting American president. We may think that they were misogynist or vile or a monster or whatever you want to label them. But we can now add pedophile to their, yes. Spirit showed me something yesterday that I was like, holy shit. In their mind, they don't think of it as pedophilia because they're beautiful and they're teenagers. To them, it's just like, you know, oh, like in their very destructive minds, a lot of men and women who have either gone through their own trauma or their own crap or their any of that stuff, any 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 of that, they get lost in the illusion of their belief system and what's right and wrong. And somebody can, you know, any of us, that's the power of our mind. We can corrupt our minds easily. It's not that hard. That's why the world has gone into destruction. That's why we've been force fed. Like, it's interesting how they're like, no cannabis, which cannabis is like a plant that's really awesome and expands your mind and expands your consciousness. But they're like, oh, alcohol's legal. You just can't drink and drive. Alcohol, more people kill themselves, kill others. You know what I mean? Like, all of these really fucked up things. Oh, you can't get an abortion. You can't, you know, blah, blah, blah. Because we've had the lowest birth rate in like the last century than we've, you know what I mean? Like, because of birth control and because, but they want their minions. They want their little drones. They want, and this isn't just America. This is countries all around. So we've pulled the lid off of it, right? Like the cans off the worms. The worms are out. The worms have gone in all directions. You can't catch them all. And once one worm gets in, that's it. So, the reason why he wants those files hidden is because there is proof that he was with underage women. There's actual proof of it. And I don't know if the women are going to come forward or we're going to find out that they were all murdered. I don't know, but it's something like that. Very fucking rarely do I get something like that where Spirit's like, here's a spoon of, and I always have to go through, is this a shadow trying to get me to, you know what I mean? Because I still love them. You know what I mean? Like, I still love people. You know, it's like even if they do horrible, heinous things, most people who do horrible, heinous things had horrible, heinous things done to them. It gets passed on. Then it gets imprinted into our cells, into our blood and bone. They've done, it's science. It's basic. And especially because we recycle our souls into different avatars, right? We're just born through, some people believe the theory that you're always in the same blood and bone, right? So like maybe I'm my great, 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 great grandmother who was a practicing witch, but over time, other people went to Christianity and the Mayflower and you know what I mean? Like, who knows? I have such a peppered past from my family. I have family from the South. most likely they had slaves. I mean, it was just, I don't know for sure. When I looked down, it was 44, you know? But does that mean I'm like, oh, my family, they were shit? Maybe not. You know, maybe they didn't know any better. Maybe, you know, I've just changed a lot over the years, and I have such a deeper love and compassion for humanity than I've ever had before. And, you know, my partner, you know, talks about this, and he's talked about it before, and I believe someday he'll probably end up writing a book. But, you know, that saying, hurt people hurt people. One of his things when he got sober was to go and apologize to a family member who he took advantage of, and they forgave him. But he had to go and like ask for her forgiveness and apologize and say that he was very sorry, you know, because he had been, you know, tortured mentally, physically, emotionally, had been sexually molested from the time he was 3. Not only that, but he was groomed by the elder males and his family to do it to the other females in the family. That's taught. Yes. Thank you, Anna. Anna says an evolving soul. And I'm so glad you still have your channel. She says, I still have my channel, Lula. I just post about nature and positivity to spread love. Of course you do. Of course you do. You should have millions of followers because you're amazing. Yeah. And right. It's like he's an evolving soul. We're all evolving souls. But when I first met Alder, he had such a beauty and such a love and such an innocence about him that I just couldn't, like, he took my breath away. Come to find out from family members that they were like, he was such a precious boy. He was such a sweet boy. But like under that surface of it, he genuinely was that sweet boy. But under the surface of it, he was still going through all of this trauma and this sexual abuse and trauma that was put upon him. So it takes a lot for us to get in there and heal and work with that shadow energy. And that's what they want us to do, because, you know, Leo is so good to help push our creativity and our positivity out. That's what we want to do. We want to push our positivity and our creativity out there. We want to take some more time to ourselves. You know, I'm also hearing for some of you, if you feel safe to do this, you know, you may want to get your own tent, you know, go somewhere that you feel comfortable and safe, you know, and always make sure that you take care of yourself and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, Spirit's got your back, right? Oh, Chanley's saying, yes, that's helping me with others, right? Like forgiving them. You know, we just got we had the 3rd quarter moon reading since last Sacred Sunday. They didn't have me put a link to it, but if you want to, actually, that's what it was. They didn't have me do a third quarter moon reading. Say that 5 times fast. They had me bring up some old readings from 3 years ago about the next 3 years. It was really crazy. Or maybe it was from 2.5 years ago for the next 3 years, while Saturn is in Pisces. So now Saturn went retrograde out of Pisces, but it's going back in Pisces, I think in September, or may even be September 1st. But they want us to look closely at our charts, to work closely with our charts. Pam Gregory, and it might be pamgregory.com. She's got a really simple, straightforward, it says free chart or free birth chart or something like that, and it's nice. It's not an extensive one. If you want an extensive one, she has them. Braca Goldsmith also has an extensive one that's really good. That's not just like astro astrology or whatever, but like by actual astrologers. Because some of those, some of them were started by astrologers or they got bought out. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to see a lot of fakery and fuckery. You're going to see things changing also on my channel. I don't know if you guys saw, I did, Caitlin Riley. She's an amazing comedian who kind of calls people out for their fakery and their fuckery bullshit. And I really love their work. It's not about making fun of people. It's about putting the mirror in front of people and saying, like, do you hear yourself right now? Like, do you fucking see what you're doing right now? Like, are you paying attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth? Spirit wants us to be very conscious about our thoughts and our words and how they're connecting together. What part of those words and that consciousness is from your past and what part is from who you are now, and pulling those apart. That's what the whole year of the snake is, until we get to the year of the horse next year in February. The horse is about freedom. But right now, until next February, we're going to be working with some major shit. And Saturn is in retrograde and just went retrograde last week. And like I said, Chiron's coming up. We have, let me see, I know we have Neptune. So we have Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, so Chiron is going retrograde on the 30th and will be retrograde until January 2nd, 2026. Now remember, 2026 is a 10 number. 10 is about completion and about new beginnings. So I feel like so much is going to happen between January and February as well. Most likely, you know, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are rooting for the downfall of like these horrible leaders and these people, but in one of the links in the description box that says astrology, it's a documentary that really, like, spirit really pulled me to watch it. And then while I was watching it, I had so many fucking downloads. It was crazy. But they talked about how Kim Young, I don't know, is it John? I just know it's, you know, the North Korean leader, right? So him, Putin, Russian leader, according to this astrologer, he's like, they're going to have heart attacks. And he didn't talk about the sitting president because the documentary was released in 2021, and he was talking all about like COVID and how it came to be. It was really powerful. But what I found most interesting was watching one of the most powerful astrologers of our time talk about things that have already happened. He was right. And he didn't say it like to be like, oh, look at me, I'm never wrong. He's like, it's not about being right or wrong. He's like, I'm just reading the astrology. He's like, it's quite simple, it's quite basic. Like, we were given these roadmaps for a reason, to the planet, to our personal journey. Like, he's like, it's the matrix that has thrown us all out of our stuff, right? Like, oh, you couldn't watch it, it wasn't showing in the UK. Wow, that's fucking interesting. I wonder why. That is interesting, Anna. The astrology video? Oh, that's so interesting. I wonder if I do a shorts on it, if they'll do it limited. I know recently I had done a video of me like smoking weed, and I see people all the time doing stuff like that, and they limited my video. And then I thought, well, maybe it's the Chappell Roan song, the Pink Pony Club. And then I was like, no, it's got like hundreds of thousands of viewers on that song. Now I'm wondering if it's just because like certain countries won't allow that. I'm sure they must have like some type of, oh, that's so interesting. Wow. Well, Anna, that's interesting that you're bringing that up, because Chanley, I don't know where you live, but we're going to see a massive downfall of the monarchy, like serious, like for real. And I've just been seeing a lot of things I haven't really spoke about, but Spirit's been giving me more like carte blanche to speak of these things. And I think it's because I feel like the more people understand what's happening and what's about to happen, I feel like they will have less fear around what's happening. Right? Because a lot of people aren't loving themselves or aren't going through the flow of the self-love because they're still stuck in the matrix, but they don't want us to pull them out of the matrix. They know we have more power. You know, like they literally, like the shadow, like the sitting president, Putin, like all them, they're not oblivious. They know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? Like they know their power's dwindling. Why do you think they announced, the American president said, when I get in office, you're not going to like what I'm going to do. Some of you might not like what I'm going to do. Blah, blah, blah. Why do you think he did so many things in the first like few months that he was there? He did it on purpose because he knew eventually things are going to go away from what he wants. So right now, he's living in his little, which is so crazy because I'm like, every time he does something, I'm just like, dude, Karma's just shaking her head with a fucking smirk on her face. Like, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Right? So, you know, but they also, think about this too, they also agreed to play the villains, you know? Every fucking good story has to have a villain. We have many villains right now. You know, I'm going to rule the world. Remember, like from fucking Austin Powers, right? It's like It's just so silly. I mean, right now we're all looking at it. It's almost as if so many, because the spirituality that's happening and why they're making fun of the quote unquote woke movement, they want them to continue looking at us like we're fucking idiots. Like we're woo woo. Like we don't know what the fuck we're talking about because that's the only way they can control the matrix is by making like you want to be like us, you want money like us, you want plastic surgery like us, you want to be perfect and beautiful, you want to be ageless. I mean, even down to look at Demi Moore's movie, you know, where she drinks a tonic that brings her back to her youth. But in the end, it's like a horror movie. I didn't watch it, but I've seen, you know, the trailer and clips and stuff like that, obviously, because, you know, she was nominated and all that. But, you know, and why the Academy wouldn't give her the award. You know, like she even said she wasn't surprised that she didn't win because, you know, so many people, like when you speak against the Academy or you speak against, you know, whatever, the sitting president made a lot of declarations this last week about his followers, right? And that's what they are, right? That's what he thinks of himself as, like this leader, and he's the leader of the free world, which is a fucking joke. We're not free. How can we possibly be free when our money that we're paying into our tax system isn't going where we want it to go? It should be voted on by everybody. It's not like one person comes into, you know, same with the monarchy and all these other countries that want these, like, they want to be the king, they want to be the sole leader. It's just fucking outdated bullshit. And I'm not saying this to be a dick, but think about this for a second. England is one of the oldest, you know, the whole UK, all the monarchy systems from Europe, you know, from these old world cultures and that, man, we're going to see some shit because karma's coming for everybody. And what we have done as the light workers and the healers and the deep down believers in magic, the earth angels that we are, we have lived through a lot of heavy shit in this lifetime. A lot of us made bad choices, still making bad choices. And, you know, when we do, instant karma is going to get you. Now we're seeing it. You know I had to live this way, go through this. And also, I've been looking at this from the opposite side, meaning my situation, you know, and those of you who've been with me a long time, you know what I'm talking about, you know, like I was like, well, I'm like, it's going to be our first home. And I'm like, no, actually, technically, Big Camper was my first like real home where like I owned it. Nobody could take it from me. And it was on wheels. And now this is our second home, you know, Big Mama. We called it Big Papa, but I don't know. I feel like she will take on her own name at some point, but it does feel more like a her. In the beginning, it felt like a masculine energy for all the reasons that it came into our being. But now that I've been ripping the walls out and like getting to the bare bones of it, I'm seeing her for what she is. And I'm like, you know what? She just was treated badly, but she's got good bones. And underneath, it's like, it's clean. We just got to get out the mold, the water damage. You know what I mean? Because a lot of this happened when we were living in here and we were living off grid. And, you know, we didn't know how like things were happening. I saw water damage happening. I saw, you know, whatever we could have taken, but it wasn't ours. We didn't really own it outright, even though deep down I knew we were going to eventually own it. But we had to go through all this bullshit with the owner of it and the trade and all that with when we were doing the rent to buy with the cabin. And, but we learned all of our lessons, but that was fucking karma too. Right? So karma, dharma, it's like all of it, it's all connected. We're all connected. And the very root of it is loving ourselves and loving each other and understanding that things have to get worse before they get better. And the more we see the obnoxious bullshit in front of us, the more it's gonna like explode. So, you know, the sitting American president, Russian president, North Korea. Yeah, Anna says it will look great when it's finished, Lula. I know, right? And that's like, right. I feel like my house is a metaphor for like everything right now, right? Like, yeah, it's going to be great when it's finished. But right now we have to get through this. I have been doing some serious research. After I watched that astrology, oh my gosh, I went into some serious fucking research. I just fell down a rabbit hole because for like 6 or 7 days straight, I was just like hardcore balls to the wall, working on the outside, the property, working inside my house, outside my house. Just so much food prep, everything, you name it. Living in a construction zone, you know, but when I finally like took some downtime and I watched that video after that, I fell down this rabbit hole of like just astrology, the BC, when Jesus was, born, when they say he was born, like all the bullshit, like, just how they've always known that Jesus' birthday had nothing to do with Christmas, right? But they totally piggybacked off the pagans and off the bringing of the light, and it really all started with solstice. It all started with summer and winter solstice is kind of like how they would gauge things. It was always based on nature, so over time things started to go in a certain way. And we cannot be angry or upset or have fear over the third dimensional energy that we co-created. Whether we like it or not, we co-created it too. Our ancestors, it's part of us. We co-created that. Whether in one life, you were a dominating ruler who ruled, with greed and whatever, and unconsciousness behavior, right? Unconscious behavior. Or whether you were a beggar on the street that gave to others, and you were the muse that walked around from city to city. People were like, oh, look at them, they're filthy, where other people would see you giving food and then give you a shower, and see your beauty and your grace. It's like we've just been doing this for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. It just had a different storyline, a different year, but it was just really powerful. Because so I'll tell you a little bit about the documentary. So in the documentary, he speaks about how Copernicus and all of these old, Galileo, what's his name? They call him the father of astrology. It'll come to me. If not, please think of other big, Nostradamus. But there's one more I'm leaving out, and I can picture him, but I can't. It's like I can picture him, but his name is blank. But either way, he was going through and talking about how for years and years and years, astrologers were revered. Like they were so revered. They knew, they'd say, you know what, this isn't a good time because this planet is going to be with this planet, or this is going to happen, or this moon, or, like that's how they knew, like, don't sail your ships, when the worst things happened were because they went on greed or against the timing, you know what I mean? And so he said over time, though, they started to take control over everything. Even now, it's not some conspiracy theory that they control the weather. Why do you think all this shit is happening the way it's happening? So they can't control the weather. Gaia's like, good luck with that. Keep trying to fucking prove to me that you can change me and you can change my atmosphere, right? Like she's like, keep trying to fucking tell me that you're going to take things from me, and then you're going to create them with something else that comes from me. You know what I mean? And she's like, it's not a good combo. I mean, this is going to be really gross, but this is the analogy that she just gave me, Gaia, right? We make out with somebody or you kiss somebody and you're exchanging saliva. For some reason, that's okay, right? But would you take somebody's urine and drink it? Probably not. Even if they said it had minerals and blah, 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 it's like, would you drink it? Probably not. It's like, you don't mix certain things together. You don't take one of the worst things that's ever happened in the area that I live happened over literally when Mercury went retrograde. A petroleum tanker crashed and fucking rolled over into the I forget the name of the creek, which goes into the Elwha River, which goes into the Olympic Mountains, which is the water that I drink. That's my natural water that I get from like the springs here. That just happened. I'm like, thank you for fucking our water. 3,000 gallons of petrol went into, and some other chemical. They were carrying some other chemical. And both fucking tankers, because he's fine. I guess the driver's fine. I'm glad he's fine. I'm genuinely glad he's fine. But I mean, what the fuck? I was so upset. I was like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, like that's a really big deal. And it's going to take a long time. And not only that, but like where we live, it's only like 2 towns away. They get their main water supply from there. I don't get my water supply from there, but my town where I live doesn't get their water supply from there. But where I get my water supply is from the main, like from the mountains. So, and the worst part is it fell in the upstream. But then in meditation, Gaia was like, don't worry about it. It's going to sort itself out. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to work it out, you know? Because the sad thing is like, if it was just taken from the earth and didn't have chemicals and, you know what I mean? It's like, it'd be a lot easier for Gaia to redigest it back into her system. But the fact that it's going into the water supply, that affects our salmon, our, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a big fucking deal. And that's why we have been begging for all, you know, alternative fuel systems. You know, I mean, it's like, that's when you see like fish with like 3 eyes and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening? So, I mean, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just, it's sad. It made me so fucking sad. That's like one of my favorite rivers too. So say a little prayer for our Olympic mountains and our magical rainforest, because that's where it's going, to the rainforest. And, or I should say, you know what? I shouldn't speak that until I know that to be a fact, but I know that the Elwha River is part of the edge of the rainforest. So anyway, I don't want to get on a soapbox. But this is the shit that's happening. And that's why us as the Earth Angels, we're here, and the light workers, we are here to say enough of this shit. Stop. Stop saying, oh, it's from the earth, it's okay. Stop saying, you know. So remember at the end of, for those of you who watched it, thanks for the prayers, Anna. When I was having that, getting back to the beginning of this, when I was talking about how this was an extension of that video that I did that's in the description box, what happened to me was, after a really long week, I was headed to the post office, or excuse me, I was heading home with Alder. We were running errands. We were so tired. We had done so much shit, and we were just ready to just relax and, you know. And I said, hey, I feel like we need, that was my knee. I said, I feel like we need to stop at the old property and look in the mailbox, because we still have some things that are attached to that address, which is fine because it's still attached to, like, we were friends with the landlord and he's fine with that. And Alder, because Alder had got his insurance, he was getting a new insurance card, and it's just down the street. It's not like it's in the same town and everything. But he couldn't remember our new address. So he was like, well, I'm just going to put that address on there. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So he, you know, he's like, I don't know if my insurance card came in yet. We got to check it out. So we stop at the mailbox, but I was the one that was called to go to the mailbox. He could have done that anytime on his own. Go to the mailbox, and there's a little piece of paper that says that there is a letter for me. It just said K Varma, you know, which was my old, you know, married name. It's my old, you know, official name, so to speak. And I was like, who the fuck is this from, you know? And it said it was a registered letter. So I went and picked it up, and it's from my mom's estate. And a lot of you guys know my mom passed away. It'll be a year next month in August. She passed away August 18th. And I go to get the letter, and the second I put it in my hands, I just wanted to throw it away, and I wasn't even going to open it. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should open it. I don't know what's in here. I don't know, you know, I'm like, it might be something important. I probably should look at it. I started to open it, and I immediately, like, all I saw was my sibling's signature, and I closed the letter and I just put it away. I was like, nope. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm like, I don't want to look at this. And Alder just kind of was like, what? And I was like, I don't really think I want to look at this. And so I kind of like perused it a little bit, and then I just felt so sick to my stomach. So I just folded it back. I put it in the envelope, and I was like, I'll just deal with it later. But of course, we started talking about it, and he's like, are you okay? And I said, I'm not okay. I said, I'm not okay. And I said it was something about a hearing and it was in August, and it was like before the 8/8 portal. So I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and you guys know, like, one of the main things that we always are like told, right, is that you don't want to like go to court or, move or do anything really major during Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde is, it's an air, it rules the air signs, right? Like Gemini, it's like that kind of like, you know, you just don't. You don't, it's communication, right? It's all about communication. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I said to him, I don't know what this is or what's going on with my family, but I don't want to be a part of it. Whatever it is, I'm like, I don't think I want to be a part of it. And so we just had a conversation around it, and then that was it. So yesterday, I woke up really, 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 really early, like too early. Went to the bathroom and did a few things, and then I went back to bed to meditate, and I fell asleep. I woke up, drink some water. I woke up to someone knocking at the door, and I was like totally ripped me out of my sleep. I was like, oh my gosh, it was Alder, thank God, because I was like, it would have been really annoying if it was anyone else, right? But it was cool because he ended up coming in here, and we had a talk, and I told him, that I talked to my friend on Thursday, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do about this, and like I'm still really torn what to do. I said one part of me wants to completely walk away from this and just like have no part of it, and another part of me wants to like jump in and help and see what I can do. Or not jump and see what I can do. That's me. That's me being kind about it. I'm just like, basically, like, if spirit wants me to close that door in that way, have closure. For those of you who don't know and you're new here, I have not talked to my family in years. And when my mom passed away, I got the vibe. I've been basically getting signs all over the place to connect with my family, from my mom and my stepdad, but I just haven't felt like I was ready. So what I realized was that when that letter came, it just shook me up, because I feel very triggered by this family member, this sibling. I feel very triggered by them. And it's like every time I've tried to talk to them in the way that I am, they make fun of me, or they tell me basically to get the fuck away from them, kind of thing. So what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do? I'm trying to be really cautious, as you can tell. And not because for any other reason that I don't know if they ever watch my stuff or ever see my stuff or whatever, but I just, we role played, you know what I mean? Oh, thanks, Anna. Um, but I cried a lot, like, and I thought, I don't know what it is, whether I'm getting something or not getting something. It's not about that really. What I realized was that, like, there's no amount of money that would make me ever want to deal with them again, unless I knew for certain that they were coming with an olive branch of some kind, or at least open to, because the hardest part dealing with them and all of my family is that they don't want to admit. Oh, thanks, Anna. She sent me hugs. Thank you. They don't want to admit that they bullied me. They don't want to admit the trauma. Even though I have sought forgiveness for my side of what I played in the roles, it doesn't matter. And I tried. I really tried. My eyes twitching. It might be my own twitch. I used to have an eye twitch, but usually it was my left one, not my right one. And it was in a different place on my eye, which is interesting. So from the time I closed that envelope on Wednesday until Alder showed up yesterday morning, I went through a lot of shit, a lot of heavy, dark stuff. And then when Alder was here, I told him about my discussion with the fellow light worker and their thoughts on it. And, you know, because of course they were always really supportive and they're like, you'll know what to do. You of all people, like, you'll know what to do. And so he said, well, maybe we should just look at it again or something. Or maybe I said, would you look at it and then tell me what it says? Which I'm not normally like that. But I literally, like, I didn't know that I was going to be that triggered just by looking at their fucking signature. It was weird. It like, this is why I tell you guys that it's hard to go to the shadow. It's hard to go to those dark places. I know it. I know it. But it also, like, that proved to me and showed me that even though I think I've worked through certain things with them or I feel strong and whatever, the second I saw that there was a hearing, just the thought that I might actually like hear their voice or like be on like a Zoom like call or like anything like that, like shut me down to the point where like my eye is twitching again. Do you know what I mean? I allowed them to dismantle and demean my emotions, my feelings, the things that they did. And they weren't the only one. It was like, I had two women in my family that were like kind of like besties. And as far as I know, they still are. And they would tag team bully me. And that's really hardcore when they're 4+ years older than you. So when you're little, like I was, and open and loving and and precocious, like I did tell on them sometimes. Like, I'll admit, like, some people, like, if they look, they're like, oh, well, you were a brat. I was like, I was a brat because I didn't have anybody. Nobody really wanted to talk to me or pay attention to me. My brother would play with me, but a lot of times my brother wanted to play, like, hard. He wanted to, like, wrestle, or, back in the day, like when it was politically incorrect and we played cowboys and Indians, you know what I mean? Like, he wanted to fuck my shit up. He was very destructive, right? Because my dad beat my mom. So, like, he was like taking on my dad's energy. So, my sister and I we've had an intense relationship all of my life. And we've had really beautiful, loving years together. And we've had really horrible, awful years together. But, I told my mom the last time I talked to her, I told her, I said everything I needed to say. I made my peace with everything. Whatever is happening and transpiring now, that's like between them. I don't know how to, it's interesting. So Alder opens the letter and he like goes through all of it and he's like, honey, you don't have to be in court. I'm like, well, he didn't say it like that. That's me. Like, but he was saying with that energy, he's like, oh, you don't have, but he was like really reassuring. He was like, you don't have to go to court. He's like, look at this. They're just telling you that there's a hearing. He's like, you don't have to go. Cause I was like, is there a Zoom thing or like whatever? And I was like, cause this is like thousands of miles away, like thousands of miles away. Like I would have to, it's like where this place is, it is not easy to get to. I would have to take at least 2 planes, drive, you know what I mean? Like it's in the middle of like nowhere, like in the Ozarks. So it's not easy to go to. And I don't know what kind of like court system I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what kind of, the area is really nice and it's become more progressive over the years, but it's still the South in Arkansas. And I just don't know how that would fan out or pan out. I don't know if, I mean, for all I know, like the judge went to church with my mom. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I'm probably building it up in my head to be something, whatever. But whatever it is, it made me realize, like, after everything was said and done, I'm like, I mean, I don't have to do anything, right? He's like, no. I'm like, so it was just, I realized I drove myself crazy and went through all these like scenarios and cried. But I did that on purpose because I needed to face that again, and I needed to face the fear. And then, one thing, that Alder said, and my, friend said as well, is they're like, at the end of it, they're like, there's nothing you can't handle and there's nothing you can't do. And spirit brought you to, like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, however it's supposed to move forward is how it's going to move forward. And, and I say these things to you guys all the time, but I'm sharing my story with you because I just want you to know that I go through it too, still, all the time. If you were abused or bullied or both, that stuff stays with you. The worst part is I was just bullied again the last few times I went home as a grown adult. In my 40s, they were in their 50s, but now I'm in my 50s and they're approaching their 60s. But it's interesting, you know what I mean? And it's like, and this isn't like to throw them under the bus or be like a dick or whatever, because these are really beautiful, loving people that on the surface, everybody loves them. They're like, they're so awesome. Like, you must be the problem. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking problem. I'm a telepathic medium. So when they hurt me, abuse me, talk shit in their head, whatever, when I call them on it, when they, whatever, and I call them on it, I was fine. Everything was fine as long as I never fucking said anything. But the second I started saying, like, well, how do you really feel? Or like, that's not like what you're saying, right? Or like, I'll say, like, sometimes I would say things that were verbatim in their head and I would see their fucking eyes widen. Like, how the fuck did you know I just said that? And I was like, because we're related. Because even though you don't want to accept that you're also witchy and have gifts and all that, it's like, I am, and I'm awake as fuck. And like, we're so connected. So if people don't have, if their guard is down, especially if they're coming from an ego, a lot of times, when people are operating from the ego, their walls aren't up, which is also why spirit showed me this stuff about the sitting president, and probably why he's tight with like the Russian leader and like the North Korean leader. These guys, they're probably part of the main thing of the human trafficking and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if all that shit comes out. Have you guys noticed that Anonymous has been pretty quiet? They're not fucking quiet. They're getting ammunition. They're gearing up for this. This shit has been this has been like, it's all written, man. It's all written. So I'm glad in a way that I got worked up because I needed to face it. I needed to look at it. I needed to see it for what it was. But it also made me forgive them and myself. And that, I mean, the most beautiful thing that happened was when I moved to the Pacific Northwest 14 years ago. I had like, I don't know, 20 plus boxes, maybe 30 boxes. I don't remember because I've gone through some now. And long story short, my mom had built on her property. They bought the property. Everything was built from scratch. And it's really beautiful and breathtaking. If you want to live in the mountain home area, let me know. Because it has a house and a guest house. It's on 5 acres, 300 feet like above the White River, watching the sunset. It's magical. And it's only like 330,000 or something. It's really beautiful. But what's so gorgeous about this story was that my mom said, I built this for myself, the storage, because my mom liked to change her house every season, like everything from the shower curtain to the rugs to the draperies. She just loved it. That was like her thing. And in the summer, everything was more like gingham and, lemon yellow and white and cute and like strawberries. And then like in the winter, she'd have like snowflakes and stuff that she can make it Christmassy. But if she took the Christmassy away, it would still feel like winter. Like it was adorable. So in her old house, she had an old Victorian mansion from the 1800s. And so she had a turret that she, had all of her storage and stuff up there. When they moved and they, built their log cabin and their retirement home, she got a storage unit until they could do that. So she said, we didn't spend all this money to build this, it was a guest house and a garage and a storage unit above it. It's really awesome. She said, just for it to sit there empty. She said, my stuff only takes up like a small portion of it. So you are more than welcome to bring your stuff here. Over the years, when I would go to visit, I'd go through some boxes. I would get rid of some stuff. I donated some stuff. My niece was going to college. I gave her like all of my kitchen stuff. I'm like, I don't need this toaster and all this shit. Like, I don't need it now, So long story short, the last time I talked to my mom, when I told her that I wasn't going to talk to her again unless she could be more open and loving, because she was a very right-wing Republican Christian who is a Southern Baptist and thinks that what I do for a living is the devil. And I said, until you can love me for who I am, until you can accept me for who I am, I said, we're not going to talk. I basically said, don't call me until, whatever. So when she would call me, she just wasn't getting it. I was like trying to explain it to her and she wasn't getting it. So I had to finally cut her off. But the last conversation we had, I told my mom I didn't want those boxes anymore. And that if she wanted to, she can ask the kids, the grandkids, because they're all adults now. I was like, ask them if they want any of my stuff. I mean, my mom even said one time, she said, your boxes are worth more than my stuff. You know what I mean? Because I had like 55 vintage coats and, like I had this vintage candelabra that was like silver from like the 1800s. You know what I mean? Like I had paintings and really, really good stuff. So that's why I kept it, because it was like my really good stuff. And my mom's like, someday you may want this stuff again. And what's the difference if it, at least here it's like, more temperature control and blah, 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 blah. So when I talked to my mom, I told her that there was this local thrift shop that was run, all the proceeds were donated to a battered women's shelter. And every time I went to visit my mom, we'd go and shop there. And I loved it and I loved the people. And I said, I want to donate my boxes to them. And she's like, well, I don't know if they pick things up. And she's like, you don't have to, it's okay. And I was like, Mom, I'm like, no, I really want to. But obviously it's my mom's house, it's her garage, she has to let these people in. And she was like, don't worry, because my mom wanted to believe that we were going to talk again, that everything was going to be fine, that it was a phase I was going through, which I kept telling her that it wasn't, and she didn't want to listen to me. So Alder knows all about this. So I don't know if they are like suing me because they had to get my boxes out of there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm not saying that they are, but I don't know. So I'm telling you the whole part of that story because it was so sweet when yesterday I told Alder, I said, I just don't feel comfortable like being there or going back there or being around them, or I'm like, I don't know if it's because I'm not ready or just because I'm done, like forever. But either way, the way my stomach sank, I was like, I don't want to. So yesterday he said, well, I don't care. He's like, just leave it alone, see what happens. And he's like, and if they, for some reason, he's like, I can't believe they would do something like that. That's pretty fucked up. And I was like, well, that's what I'm saying though. I don't know if they would or they wouldn't. And he said, well, then whether it's $500 or $1,000, he's like, whatever it is, he's like, we'll take care of it. He's like, just don't, he's like, stop letting this control you. So I was really grateful for that. And Alder and I have just been such good friends lately. It's been really awesome. And we're working on our relationship. So I know for some of you, Anna, I know you're a big fan of us, but a lot of you are a big fan of us because we are meant to find our way back to each other, but we are where we're supposed to be too. Like I'm not ready for him to come back. He's not ready to come back. But it's been really nice working on this together. It's been really beautiful working as a team. We've always been a really strong and powerful team. His triple Gemini to my triple Sag, his moon in Sag to my moon in Scorpio. We've always worked really, really well together. But yeah, so all I can say is face your fears. And I said to Spirit after Alder left, I said, I'm still open though. I'm like, if this is something where like my parents really want me to have this money, if there's money, or if there's like money owed or whatever, if they need help, like, I'm like, just let me know like what I can do. But I don't want to talk to my siblings. And he said, he goes, you're acting like, you're in trouble or something, is basically what he said. And that's what I realized, because my family led by fear and control. And for multiple reasons, I was bullied by my older siblings and other family members, aunts, uncles, cousins. I've been bullied. But the thing is, a lot of times the people who are bullied, they're bullied. My mom told me a long time ago, and she used to say, if you ever said it in front of them, she's like, I would deny it because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But my mom told me, she's like, they bully you because they're jealous of you. And they always have been. And when she explained it to me, it shocked me to my core because my mom was not like that. My mom never spoke that way. She wasn't somebody who spoke of jealousy or things like that. But when she explained to me why they were jealous, it was really beautiful because they're not really jealous of me. There are certain things that happened to them in their childhood that I was associated with. And because I was always like open and loving, I was an easy target. And because nobody paid attention to me, I became the little brat, the little nuisance, because I wanted someone to play with. At one point, I was the youngest, and no one would play with me or talk to me. The adults would be like, get out of here, kid, you bother me energy. And the older kids were like, you're too young to play with us, get out of here. So I just felt so abandoned and alone and sad. And I was so precious, and I want to be loved by you, right? Just you. It's like, and sometimes I'd get frustrated because even though I understood my sister's friendship with our other family member, like they were closer in age, like I understood that. It was actually, I had an aunt and a cousin that my sister had more close relationships with than me. And I understood it. They were closer to her age, but what was upsetting was that I wish my sister had protected me and watched over me, because that's what big sisters are supposed to do. Instead, she chimed in with the bullying, and that broke my fucking heart. Like, it broke my heart. And I don't think I ever, I feel like I spent a lifetime trying to get her to love me and approve of me. And when I tried to be like her, they say imitation is the strongest form of flattery, but not all people feel that way, right? So whenever I tried to be like her, look like her, it would piss her off or make her mad. And she'd be like, gosh, just be your own person. And I was like, but I don't know. Like, because when I tried to be me, I was made fun of, or was told to be quiet, or was told I was stupid, or unicorns weren't real, or you know what I mean? So it was just a very confusing, very frustrating time for me, especially not understanding that I'm a telepathic medium. So sometimes I was having conversations with people that they weren't having the same conversation with me because they weren't doing the same thing I was. You know what I mean? So I feel like Spirit's trying to show us over these next several weeks, a lot of stuff is going to take place. And from now until February, and that's why these readings came back into our orbit for the third quarter meeting. It was a third quarter reading, which is also last quarter, but it was a third quarter reading. And the reading was for the last 3 years. And we've been getting a lot of the number 12, which is also number 3. So, they're trying to show us all these different things, that it's not just about the duality. There's more sides to look at things. It's not just black or white. There are multiple shades of gray in there. And they want us to see that our past does not define us. Our past does not make us who we are in a negative sense. It shows us who we've been. And then they want us to look at who we're wanting to be. And I'm feeling this strong pull to grab another card. And thank you for the likes and the subscribes and the prayers and all that, and the contributions. They really do help, you guys. And I am still working on a universal thing. All my information's in the description box if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, or if you'd like to work with Spirit through me. Because when I say one-on-one, Spirit's always working through me, but sometimes it's just like a straight up reading. Like when I do recorded readings, it's just all about you, man. Sometimes when we do sessions, it's like kind of like this, where it's like they may have me give an analogy for a story or a situation I went through. And then, this happens all the time when I read for people, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I just went through the same thing. Or, oh, that's happening to me too. Or, oh, my sibling did that to me too. Or, and I'm like, well, that's why, right? Like, we're connecting in this space so that we can understand that, number one, we're not alone. We never have been. But number two, we had to feel that abandonment. We had to feel that loneliness. I can be angry at my siblings or my aunts or my cousins or my family, or blah, 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 or be like, oh, poor me, I'm a victim. I wasn't a victim, right? I may have thought I was a victim for years, but what I realized is that they are actually playing the victim for themselves now, because as an adult, you would look back on that situation and say, blah, 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 instead of saying, well, you were the problem. It's like no accountability. No, it's like, really? You don't have any of that in there? Which, what's so interesting to me is that they all had daughters, you know? And sometimes when I look at like the relationships between like the women in my family, how could I not feel sad or feel like an outsider, right? Because it's like, it's so obvious. And women can be so fucking awful. I'm sorry, but women can be way worse than men. In my experience, the divine feminine, when they're in sitting in that yang energy of the masculine, man, those claws come out, and it's like petty and gossip and bullshit and all of that. It's like wow, you wanted me to feel lonely, you wanted me to feel sad, you want me to feel like I don't belong here. Well, you succeeded. So why are you so surprised that I don't want to be around now, or why I don't want to be a part of this? you know I said to Alder, even if it is money, I said, if my parents, I know my parents want me to have it, right? Like I know they'd want me to have it no matter what, right? But at the same time, I said to him, what if this is some type of test from spirit? Like, put your money where your mouth is, literally. You don't want any part of this family, you don't want any part of this blood and bone, then don't come showing up with a handout. And then I was like, or is it the opposite where, spirit's like, no, like you can go and say your piece and, whatever, and still like you worked hard for that too. Right? Because I held space for my family for many years, did a lot of things, to take care of my family as well. It's like that's what families do for each other. But I came from this family of like, this like give and take was not equal. Or it was like it had to be equal, right? Well, you took so much, so you owe this much now. You were this person, so now you need to be this person. These family dynamics are really destroying humanity, because in like, before we had whatever, social media, or even like monarchies and things like that, even getting back to like when times were, it's like you're taught to love your siblings, look out for each other, like your family, your ohana, like you look out for each other. You're not there to sabotage each other, ruin each other's lives. It's like no amount of apologies were going to change that kind of anger and that hatred, because a lot of it is that I'm a mirror. So they don't want to see that like I've changed or like I've done this, because that means they have to change too. They have to do the work too. I didn't come out of a fucking box like this. It's taken me 10 years, 14 really, and 53 if you want to be, right? Because I've always been this, and I've always felt like I was different, I was special, I was gifted. Like I was saying at the beginning of this, I fucking started that video. I started that video that's connected to this that I told you guys that I did yesterday. I mean, I started it with my mind. When the music stopped and I go up to it, that's legit. I'm like, holy shit. So don't say that you don't have magic. You have magic. You have powers. We all do. We all can. What do you think they've been doing? It's mind control. They're making it seem so third dimensional, like you can't do it yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's only in this world, but it's like, oh my gosh, Earth is a magical place. The atmosphere is a magical place, as that loud thing goes by. So these are the mantras they want us to work with for this week. I am good enough. I mean, think about that. That was really big in my family. Really big. I didn't feel like I was good enough. I never felt like I was good enough. I moved away trying to prove to them, you'll see, look at who I'll become. I'll be famous. You just watch. I'll be rich. I'll take care of you, mama. I used to tell my mom all the time, I'm like, I'm going to be rich and famous, mom. I know it. I feel it. I know it. I feel it. And because I was always like spot on with my feelings, I will. But I also realized in my late 20s, I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen until my 50s. I recognized that. I knew that. I just didn't understand it at the time. You know, so we all, you know, we make our bed and we have to lie in it. But we don't have to inherit the violence, the abuse, the bullying. If you were bullied like I was, you know, and it's interesting because I was a bully too. I became a bully because I was bullied. And I didn't recognize my bullying until it was brought to my attention. And then when it was brought to my attention, I apologized. Now, in the beginning, when I was still in my third dimensional, like whatever, I didn't. You know, I'd be like, oh God. I'm like, dude, I'm just telling the truth. And even if I was telling the truth, I wasn't very sensitive about it, right? Like my triple Sag was just like going to town, and my moon in Scorpio just was not looking out for other people's hearts, right? So I've had my own barrage of lessons. We all have our life lessons. But it's about changing. It's about recognizing. It's about understanding. So that's where the forgiveness comes in right now. I love and forgive my family. But I realized I'm like, I don't know where my family is in their like healing process or whatever. I don't know if they sat for the American president because they're very Republican. I don't know. Maybe they didn't vote for them. Maybe they didn't vote at all. But, you know, there are just some things that I started to recognize and realize that I'm like, I don't need to hear their voices in my head anymore because I am good enough. And I worked really fucking hard to get back to this heart-centered, this heart chakra place. I worked really, really hard from the time I can remember anything until now. It takes work to love yourself. It takes work and time to recharge our battery, to put the light back out there. Our home is a reflection of ourselves, and it has to be a wonderful place to live because where else would you recharge your batteries? On the flip side of this, it says, I feel like they want to come here in front of the Lemurian crystal. There is no need to struggle to be better. All I need to do is love myself more today than yesterday and treat myself as someone who is deeply loved. If you don't belong somewhere, you are literally stopping your growth. If you are there and every day you're like, I don't feel like I belong here, you don't. Now, sometimes we're in a place where we haven't gotten to where we're moving next, and we need to hold tight. But if things are going in the same patterns over and over and over and over, there's got to be something that you're meant to do to break you out of that pattern. You know what I mean? Because you're the only one that can change it. With every breath I take, I'm getting healthier and healthier. These are really powerful mantras for us to say to ourselves, because loving ourselves is actually one of the fucking hardest and bravest things we can do. Saying no when others want us to say yes, disappointing others when we need to take that time to recharge our battery. If someone is pushing you beyond your means, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times that I had family and friends that would tell me how fucking selfish I was. To suck it up and show up. I'm being selfish. Even though I'm like, I'm so tired. I can't. I'm like, I've been working. Well, you know, it's not my fault you work 2 jobs. I'm like, who the fuck says things like that? I'm like, well, you know, they're like, if you got a real job like everybody else, like that's the kind of shit that was perpetuated over and over and over to me. Family and friends, teachers, bosses. If you don't belong somewhere, you don't belong somewhere. This says, my body is a mirror of my inner thoughts and beliefs. I nourish it with good foods and healthy exercise. For some of you, I'm getting from spirit, you're not taking care of your physical health and you're pushing yourself too far. You're running yourself too thin. And this feels very much like a family dynamic. Like you've got kids, you've got a job, you've got other, like, I feel like this, and this may be for everybody, but I'm definitely seeing like somebody who's got just too many whirly gigs in the air, just too many things in the air. Also, the people pleasing, I feel like there's a part of me that's like, are we still here with that? But Spirit's like, yeah, we are, because some people are still in that, like, people pleasing. And that is like so destructive. And it's me too. I had a recent thing happen where I was going to do this one thing and I was going to do this other thing. And then things didn't really go the way I wanted them to. And I was like, oh, I'll do it on this day or I'll do it on this day. And then we had, like, it's been raining the last few days, which it doesn't rain very often this time of year in the summer. I'm glad it did. We needed it desperately. But I was like, oh crap, that means I won't be able to do it until like next week. And then I started to get like nervous, because like, it was part of my work trade. And I was just like, oh, and Alder was like, the place looks great. He's like, my gosh, you are so hard on yourself. Like he basically said in so many words, I'm paraphrasing. He was like, it looks fine. Like you don't have to, just don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. And then I realized it's that same thing. And I started getting like that again ever since I saw that little, ever since I saw that letter and saw her signature. And then I realized, I'm like, it's time for us to take our power back. So take your power back from those who are bullying you, those who are manipulating you or trying to manipulate or bully you. Take your power back. Say, no, I don't want to. Because the truth is, I was like, even if I was supposed to be at this hearing or whatever, I'm like, I would not show up. I don't feel like I'm supposed to show up. If Spirit told me to, I would, of course. But it was really weird too, because when I saw it, it was at like 8:30 in the morning. But like I'm 2 hours behind. So I was like, geez, am I gonna have to get up at like 5:30, like to be there at 6:30? I'm like, that seems kind of fucked up, I'm like, but I guess, oh well, like you have to do what you have to do. But there was just like and I'd played out all these scenarios in my head. And I thought, I wonder if they even know how much real estate they take up in my self-bullying, right? They take up a lot of fucking real estate. And I cried to Alder and I said, I hope you're okay with like whatever my decision is. And he's like, absolutely, So sometimes we have to make choices and sometimes we have to make decisions. And I didn't want to share something so personal, and I did not think I was going to do it on the live. But, it's because I'm not that person anymore, but she still lives inside here. That wounded child, that child left behind. She wasn't a victim. She was just, treated poorly by people who were treated poorly, or they weren't getting the attention they wanted. My one family member, they were the youngest for the longest time, like the longest time. And then, they were excited. Or I should say, they were a baby when they were the youngest. But I should say, by the time I came around and I was like the baby, because I had my sister, then my brother, and then me, I was the baby. But my other family member was the baby of their family. And I don't think they liked trading that role. And I don't think they liked the attention that I got. And I was that type of energy and that type of light that I would get attention whether I was doing something or not. You know what I mean? I'm the kind of light that I walk into a room and people turn around and look. I don't know why. It's always happened to me. Some of it is because I dress funky and crazy, but I get that even when I walk into a grocery store and my hair's in a bun on my head and I'm wearing overalls and a tank top and no jewelry, and you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's an energy. It's a light that I possess. And this is, and I signed on to play this role in my family. You know what I mean? Like, I signed on for this. So to go into victim mode or feel sorry for myself or any of that is silly, because we all signed on for this. And I wish I can get them to understand me. And I feel like if they were awake and they were spiritually, more like me, we would be able to have these conversations, but we can't. So instead, it's like when I saw the signature, it was just like, it just brought me back to a place where I was like, wow, 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 wow. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that that pain and suffering was still so far deep down in there. So there's no need to struggle to be better. All I need to do is love myself more today than yesterday and treat myself as someone who is deeply loved, because we are. We are deeply loved by spirit, okay? And so our mantra for the Leo moon cycle, the Leo astrological phase, and for the Lionsgate portal is I am good enough. And, I'm going to go one step further. You can use I am good enough. This is an older deck. This is a really old deck. I think you should put in whatever I am feels good to you. I am a beautiful soul. I am funny. I am lovable. I am kind. I am a millionaire. I am worthy. I am capable. I am strong. I am honest. The I am affirmations work, and they're very powerful. This is on the bottom of the deck. I open myself to all good. I open myself to all good. That's a good one too. And on the back, because they're dual-sided, we'll do the other back of it. I visualize all my limitations falling away one by one until I am safe, healed, and whole. And that's what Alder gave me yesterday. He just jumped in like the medicine man that he is. And because, it's very rare that I kind of fall into that like little child, wounded, I'm nervous, I'm scared, they're going to bully me, they're going to beat me up, they're going to make fun of me, they won't accept me, they won't love me. I didn't realize how much I was still holding on to that energy of not feeling good enough, not feeling loved, not feeling supported. But interestingly enough, the conversation I had on Thursday with one of our fellow tribe members is one of the only, Jules, you guys hear me speak of her a lot. Jules is the only friend that I have from my past that knew me, that like knew me before I had my awakening. We went through our awakening. We reconnected on Instagram, and we went through our awakenings pretty much at the same time. And so, when I was talking to her about a few things, it was nice to have her remind me how powerful I am, how hard I worked to get here, that they don't have any influence over me, and then Alder as well. And I felt in that moment, even though I know you guys are here for me and I know you guys support me, my gosh, I mean, just all the words you said lovingly today, to me and then to each other, Anna and Chanley, and like supporting each other on here, right? Like we all support each other. But it doesn't make the wounds any less painful or any less real just because we are awakened to our spirituality and our soul and we understand the matrix. It doesn't mean that the matrix didn't have an incredible influence on who we are today. It just means that I have to work. Look at, I make time. Look at the top. You can see in the background, I make time, right? Because we need to make time to heal those energies, to remind ourselves how beautiful we are, how good we are. And it's not about good, bad, versus evil, that kind of thing. It's just that, you know, they are beautiful and loving and generous and giving people. But they need to ask themselves, why are they being mean to me? And then why did they gang up on me? Why do they talk about me? Why does my family talk about me? They all know my heart. They all know that this is the real me that was always there. I know they know. But it's easier to make me the villain. I'm the villain in my family. I'm not just the black sheep. I'm the villain. I didn't say goodbye to my mom. I cut my mom off. Oh, I left my boxes there. I'm like, no, I tried to do it, and my mom's not a liar, so I would assume my mom told them the truth, but I don't know. And I still don't know. Spirit hasn't shown me like what's going on with it, because I was like, I'm happy to go there and like, I'm happy to call this lawyer this probate lawyer and like say, hey, like, what do I need to do? What's going on? Do I need to get my stuff out of there? I'm like, if I have to fucking get on a plane and go deal with this shit, I'll go do it. But it's also kind of like my mom did it to herself though, because it's like I chose differently, and it's, you know what I mean? It's a very, very interesting. By now, I hope they've donated them or gotten rid of them, or they are using them, or they sold shit. I don't care what they do with it, as long as they didn't end up in the garbage. That would make me sad. And if they did, then they did. You know, whatever. Most of the stuff I had was vintage, or years. I had it for years, so whatever's meant to be will be. But it's material things, and I've been working really hard to not allow my past to dictate my present or my future, because it's what it is, my past. Now I get to choose what I want and who I am. And, I did take accountability for that. I mean, could I have like insisted and been like, I'm flying there and blah, blah, blah? Like, yeah, I'm sure. But that's not the way it was supposed to be played out. And my mom might have, like, if I was like, hey, they're coming to your house this day to pick up the boxes, she might have been like, oh, okay. But it just wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, everything went the way it's supposed to. I've prayed on it many, many times. So this is another one of those cards. And this was in one of our other readings. We actually used this deck for reading in the last several months. So it's from the Miracles Now deck, if you didn't see this before. And it says, I measure my success by how much fun I'm having. Spirit said, we're not having enough fun, especially at home. Like, if you're not laughing at home and having fun at home, or like Alder and I had a moment yesterday where he was like I was still in bed, and he like came like over to the couch and sat down at the end, and we had like a big belly laugh together. And I almost started crying, because I was just like, oh, like it was such a cute moment. Like, we haven't had such a good belly laugh like that in a minute. And I felt like, oh my gosh. And just like the things he said, I felt supported. I felt like, okay. And I said to him recently, I'm like, we need to go on more adventures. We need to go do more fun stuff. I said, we are just not having enough fun. We need to have that fun. We deserve it. We work really hard, especially for the light workers. We're out there working jobs, working with our families, working, you know what I mean? Like, we are constantly in the grocery store. For those of us who have social media, right? Like, we're constantly posting things, creating things to post. And, I mean, I have a plethora of things. Spirit had me, if you notice, I didn't post as much this last week as I have recently, because I would say, I have enough energy right now. You want me to do it? They're like, no, just fucking rest. No, just relax. No, just like I just kept hearing over and over from Spirit, like, no, just relax, or no, please just breathe. So do the same. I urge you. We are going to be doing a lot of stuff. I mean, Leo, like I said, is coming in on Tuesday, and then the new moon is on Thursday. So I don't know what they're going to have me do for the new moon. And then we have, Lionsgate portals coming, opening up on the 26th. And then we've got the Lionsgate portal on 8/8. And then the full moon in Aquarius is the day after, like, literally, like, it's like we have the Dragon's Gate. I always say that because it's part. Oh, interesting. It disconnected and then reconnected. Did you see that when I said the dragons? I love it, because it's the Lionsgate portal, because it opens during Leo season. And they call it the Lionsgate portal for other reasons as well. But it's also, it's like the angelic, like it's basically one of the most strongest portals between our worlds. Besides, like, like Samhain is different because it's more of like the ancestors and the dimensions on Earth. But like the Lionsgate portal is like multiple universes, dimensions, like, planets. Like, it's like basically opening Earth up. It's like the 11/11 portal too is really powerful like that. Every month we have different, like the 1/1 portal, the 2/2 portal, the 3/3 portal. And we can go on and on and on. But sometimes they're like really powerful. Like, do you guys remember when we had last year? It was 8/8/8, because it was an 8-year. It was 2024. It was an 8-year. So it was the 8/8/8 portal. And that's when I told you guys my gifts just started to like blow up. And interesting that my mom died like in like the shadow and like energy of like the closing of the Lionsgate portal. It's so powerful. But this one, with all these planets in retrograde and karma coming out, like, it's just going to be, like I said, Kali Ma has been showing herself. Kali and karma are busy right now. They got shit to do. So just take deep breaths, sit back, send as much prayer and good energy and love energy. Just send as much good energy into the universe every day as you can. When you're going through your shadow, work through your shadow. When you're in your light, push it out into the most beautiful, places in the universe. Whatever feels good to you, whatever languaging, through light language, through prayer, but having intention. This new moon in Leo is very powerful too, because it was brought to my attention that, it's a good time to write down your intentions, and in a very safe place, because I know where I live, like we're in a no fire zone right in this time of year in the summer. But in your house, in a safe vessel, even over your sink, somewhere that you can have access to water quickly, just to be prepared. But write down all of your intentions for this Leo portal, and think about it. Research the Leo energy. How do you want to how do you want to show up in the world, right? Like, who are you? The Leo energy brings about our star quality, our creativity, me, all about me. And that's good, though. That's what we want. This is the platform that you get to do that on. That's what's so special about it. That's what's so magical about it. So utilize that energy. So write down on the new moon in Leo all of the things that you want to accomplish in this moon cycle. It doesn't even have to be forever, because the future is the moon cycle, right? So if it starts on the, was it 22nd, right? It starts on the 22nd. It's like, then we've got another 28, 30 days, because the moon cycle goes in 28 and a half days, right? But during that time, it's like the future is the end of the Leo cycle, right? Because you'll get signs from spirit, just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And you will know exactly what to do. You'll know exactly what to write. And if you don't know who you are or what you want, think about when you were a child. Speaking of 8, when you were 8 years old, try to think back at that time. Who were you? What did you like? What did you not? What was not good for you? What was good for you? Kind of energy. So this is a big week. And then it's interesting because from the third quarter, then there's something on the 25th. Do you guys remember? I don't know if it was from here. Spirits have me look. They told me to go back and look at June. Okay. So during one of our readings, whether it was in a Sacred Sunday episode or it was one of the other readings, we were told to keep an eye out for July 25th, because it says here, oh, it's from the, that's what it's saying. So from the third quarter moon reading in June, which was on June 18th, we had angel numbers 57, 57, 17, 21, 12, 29, and 3103. And that could be a compilation of numbers. That could be an address. It could be a date, 1229, 57, 57. It could be anything. Like my mom loved Heinz 57. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything. 57 is 12, so it could be 12 and 12, which is also the number 6. You know what I mean? Like however that is. But also go back to the third quarter moon reading in June 2025. If spirit calls me to, I'll put a link below. There are some links in the description box right now, but if they call me to, if not, go look for it. And what was the theme of that reading? Sometimes it's easier if we find, it doesn't say, so maybe they don't want me to say right now. Okay. But anyway, so there's going to be something with that reading that's going to tie into this coming Friday on the 25th. So it could be something that's tied into the new moon in Leo, the Lionsgate portal. I mean, I don't know, but it's really powerful. Very powerful. So we have that I know of right now. So we have Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, and Mercury are all retrograde. I feel like there's another one that's retrograde right now. It's either that or I keep thinking that it's Chiron, because Chiron's coming up on the 30th. So keep those dates and those energies in mind as we move forward. especially with Mercury in retrograde with fire energy, because Leo is a firecracker. I mean, the whole thing of, I'm a fire sign myself, but Leos are just off the chain firecrackers. They really are. And I love them. I love me some Leos. So just remember that all of the Leo energy that's going to be illuminated will also be the shadow of the Leo energy that'll be illuminated, right? Because I mean, think about this. So, Saturn is the planet, they call Saturn the Lord of Karma, right? So when Saturn's in retrograde and Mercury's in retrograde at the same time, that's some serious shit. That's some serious shit. So keep that in mind. That's about lessons and experiences. It's also about discipline and repercussions, but it's past life stuff too. And it does have a restrictive energy. But I take that in a good way because I love retrogrades. Retrogrades bring us back to a time and a place that we need to revisit. So you're not being punished by the universe when they go in retrograde, and the planets aren't going backwards. They've just slowed down. And think about this. As far as I know, the planets are still on their trajectory, but we've gone fully into the fifth dimension. And I had a very deep conversation with this elder recently, and she even said herself, she's 76, and she said, in my 76 years, I've never, like, the years are flying by, like it's bizarre. She's like, I've never seen anything like that. I go, that's because we've stepped into the fifth dimension, and it has been for a long time, right? When the age of Aquarius, but it takes a minute. Some people believe the age of Aquarius came in mid-century of the 20th century. Some people believe that the age of Aquarius has actually been happening for the last few hundred years. Some people believe that the age of Aquarius hasn't actually happened yet, and we are at the precipice of it. So, and I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. We've co-created the energy to go faster now. We've co-created for us to love each other more. We're getting more into the spirituality. So no matter when those time frames or whatever, it doesn't matter because we all feel that it's moving faster. And so it's moving faster. We all feel more love for each other and forgiveness and understanding and transition. So it's happening. Do you see what I'm saying? You hear me, you feel me? So that is really powerful. So either way, we're co-creating it. And that could also be why the third dimensional energy is like all this shit, all their karma is coming because they're like, this was coming no matter what. And maybe in their pretty little books that they put together, saying what really blew my mind was I'm in the fucking laundromat. I'm in the laundromat and I met all these magical creatures. So many. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Ruthie. I don't know if you guys, she'll ever come on here, but she was so magical. She's originally from Ireland, and we started talking, and we lived in LA at the same time. We were like living parallel lives, but we didn't know each other. It was so fucking cool. It was such a great conversation. But Jeannie, the 76-year-old that I met, one of the things that blew my wig flew far across the room and out the door and like across the street was I said, well, I'm like, and also with the Bible. And she's like, the Bible was written by men. I don't trust it or whatever. And I go, oh my gosh. I go, that's literally what I've been saying to my church and my mom and like anybody who would listen since I was a kid. She's like, well, it's true. She's like, so, I mean, how can we take anything seriously? I go, I know. I tried to explain this to my mom. The analogy I gave my mom was I said, look at Deepak Chopra, Mom. I'm like, Deepak Chopra is a loving light being having a human experience, and it's been beautiful to watch even Deepak Chopra and Sadhguru and like all these like other gurus and teachers and shamans, whatever you want to call them, like watching them go through their own like stages of awakening and dark night of the soul has been really fascinating and interesting as well. So I said to my mom, I said, goddess forbid something happened and there were like all the Bibles were burned, all the books were burned, the Torah, whatever, like you can go on and on. I'm like, but the only thing left was a book from Deepak Chopra. And I'm like, and it talked about loving each other and spirituality. I'm like, it would probably be referenced in some type of biblical sense. You know what I mean? Like a guide on how to love each other, like the 10 Commandments kind of thing. I mean, the 10 Commandments are like just basic, like don't fuck around. Don't, be disrespectful to your parents. It's like, it's kind of like it's like this basic rule book for just how to not be an asshole as a human being, you know? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. I mean, just like, just the way it's worded is like right there. It's like thy neighbor's wife. How come it doesn't say thy neighbor's husband? You know, I mean, there's just so many things, and there's just multiple levels, and the duality on things is just so intense and very deep rooted. So I don't speak of my family to be a dick or throw them under the bus or whatever, because they are beautiful people. They are loving, kind, generous, wonderful people. That's why I feel like it's almost like I'm the spokesperson for the shadow of them, because it's like until they heal that or physically like understand, you know, emotionally, not just physically, but like emotionally, mentally, you know, all of it spiritually, until they understand, it's you know what I mean, it's really none of my business. But because this happened for me and not to me, it's part of my story and it's part of my path, you know. And it's very deep. It's so deep rooted that many of us don't even understand how deep rooted it goes. So let's see if Spirit has any more cards. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. I wasn't feeling any questions, but if anybody has any, I don't know if this is, do you want me to take these? Okay. Another good mantra. I have abundance in all areas of my life. Keep saying it. I don't care if you're living out of your car right now. Keep saying it. I have abundance in all areas of my life. I have abundance in all areas of my life. I have been saying I believe in magic and miracles forever. And recently, I was watching this spiritual guidance thing, and they said something like, these things are happening for you because you're saying things like, they go, I literally am hearing you saying, I believe in miracles. I believe in magic. I'm like, holy shit. I've been watching readings lately where I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like they're like saying like things that I like said. And these aren't like, you know, people who, you know what I mean? Like either way, like I just know that's like spirit putting them in my path. Even if I've only watched them, that's like the first time I'm seeing them. It's because the same languaging is being channeled through us as mediums. We may have, you know, like I said earlier, some people work with light language, some people channel the nine, some people like Lee Harris, he calls his spirit guides the Z's. You know what I mean? Like whatever fucking floats your boat. You guys know I worked with Galactica for a long time. She's from the nine. Some believe that I am Galactica. I'm from the nine, but I'm channeled through this energy and this entity here. I don't know, you know? So all I know is that if you found yourself here, you're a powerful light worker. You are here for a reason. You were brought here to wake up the rest of the world. And we do that by loving ourselves first, by taking that time to recharge our battery, to be, you're not fucking selfish. Self-care is not selfish. It is not selfish. And if people are telling you that, they're the ones, that's somebody who's trying to manipulate you to do something that you don't want to do, that you're not ready to do, or you just don't want to. And if you don't, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember on my other channel, Lula's Labyrinth, I did this shorts and it came, I don't even know where it came from, but it like was one of those things that was going viral. And I laughed every time I heard it until I did it. And, I think this guy's being held by gunpoint, and the guy's like, put him up. And he's like, no. And he's like, put him up. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, I'm holding a gun on you. He's like, I don't care. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, you're not going to put your hands up. He's like, nope. He's like, are you going to shoot me? Because I'm not going to play into this game or whatever. But that's kind of like the energy they want us to have right now. Not to be mean or anything like that. Of course, the whole point is us coming from love. But it's also that, like I just told you this whole story of my family. You know, I mean, if you're getting triggered, like I got triggered by a fucking signature. And I didn't even know I would be triggered like that. It was crazy weird for me. Honestly, it was very weird for me. I'm not going to lie. It was a little peculiar. And I certainly didn't think I'd be fucking discussing it with you guys. That's why I literally called, well, we had already planned to talk. And I said to her, I'm like, there's no coincidence, right? I'm like, they were about to do something really big and spiritual, like on their end to deal with their family. And I was like going through something with mine. And I was like, I just got this. Not only that, but like if I hadn't stopped to check the mail, it was about to go back. I guess registered mail in the United States, like they only hold it for 2 weeks. If you don't pick it up, they send it back to the original person. So if I hadn't picked it up, it would have just gone back. But I was meant to pick it up. And I even said to Spirit, like, is this what I think it is? Because I don't care about it. And then I asked, like, I did the flip. I did the pendulum. I was, because I kept wanting to hear, no, don't pick it up. No, don't. Because I'm like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to, like, it's over. Like, I don't need to go back there. I don't need to talk to them. I don't need, yeah, would it be nice to, like, if there's inheritance, I don't know, but would it be nice to have it? Sure. But do I, need it? Yeah. But like, is it worth that? I was like, no, I'm like, I'm fucking happy. I'm so happy not having to face these people. It makes me happy to never, ever have to see them again. It makes me sad because I wish it were different, but I know that I cannot change them. I cannot make them see what I see. I cannot make them feel what I feel. I cannot make them go through the things I've gone through. I can't make them believe that I stopped a car with, my mind. I can't make them believe that my video fucking camera turned on yesterday with my mind. I can't make them believe that. I believe in magic and miracles. That's all I know. And it's the same for you. Don't let other people, especially family and friends and influences in your life, significant others, your boss, like, no. This is your life, and we need you now. Wherever you are in the world, you're the pushpin. You're where you're supposed to be. But we're not supposed to just be all business, right? Like, we have to have fun. Like, we have to have fun. That's part of our purpose, too. And remember that we're good enough. I remember from Saturday Night Live, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and doggone it, people like me, right? I mean, I feel like I was always constantly trying to prove to my family that, like, I'm a likable, awesome person. I'm like, why do I have to prove that to anybody? I'm like, and I felt like I spent a lifetime trying to prove my worth. And I wasted 53 years trying to prove myself. I have these fantasies that my family are just going to wake up and we're just going to be kumbaya and we're going to love each other and everything's going to be great. And, that's because I miss them. I want to see my great, nieces and nephews. I want to see my nieces and nephews. I want to see my siblings. I want to see my extended family that's still alive. Like, I would love to talk to them about this and, whatever, but it's just not my reality that I know of. Because otherwise I'm like, why wouldn't they reach out to me then? Because then they'd be like, I love you, sister. I love you, niece. I love you, cousin. I love you, family. So I have abundance in all areas of my life is on one side. And remember, abundance isn't just about money. If you have, I was just talking about this at the beginning, that a fucking tanker, a gas tanker, went off the fucking freeway over a bridge and they're okay, the person, but they dumped 3,000 gallons into my water supply, where I get my water, where I get my spring water. And they were saying like it's a big fucking deal. It's a big fucking deal. Not only that, but it went into the upstream, not the downstream. But the downstream would have gone into the ocean. So either way, it's going up into the mountains. These beautiful fucking mountains that I love and cherish. Shit happens everywhere. I've been telling you guys. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen around here. I'm like, but I'm sure things, we've been having a lot of volcanic activity in the mountains around where I live. We've been having earthquakes. The tectonic plates are, it's happening because Gaia is shifting and everything is happening. So this says, I claim abundance for myself right here and right now. I deserve to be prosperous. I deserve my good. And not with like ego, like I deserve it. Like I'm putting good energy out into the world because I heard the way I was saying it, right? And also because I'm channeling a lot of my like anger and ego energy from my family. Because deep down, that's not who they really are. That's just who they've become. That's not who they really are. There was a time where there was a lot of joy and happiness between me and my family members. you know, but the more I woke up and being a telepathic medium, it's really fucking difficult. And when I started calling them out on their dark thoughts, they didn't like that. And that's why that's another reason why I think they're mean to me, because they're terrified that I'm right, because they know they're thinking that thought and then I say it, right? That's not fucking, that scares people. A lot of people are afraid of me. A lot of people, they're like, oh, can I get your number? Let's be friends. I never hear from them again. I'll reach out to them. I never hear from them again, you know, or they just want a free reading, or they get out of me what they need and then they toss me aside. I mean, that's just like something that's been going on for a long time. But I don't take it personally anymore, right? Because that's part of my purpose. Here's what's on the bottom of the deck. I am worthy of my own love. I don't have to earn love any more than I have to earn the right to breathe. That's right. I don't care if you robbed a bank. I don't care if you blew up a building and killed 30 women and children. And you know what I mean? Like, do I care that you did it? Yes. I care more about the fact that you're repentive. Repentive? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like that you have sadness over that. You know that what you did, you know, because that's what this is about right now. The mirrors are really fucking big and they're in front of everybody's faces. And some people are going to see what they love about themselves and they're going to ride on the high of their self-love and they're going to bring that love into the planet. And some people are going to ride that fucking wave of ego, self-deception. They're going to lie to themselves and lie to others. But that's what they have to go through. So it's going to take a minute. It has to get worse before it gets better. That saying is one that we've perpetuated, but I don't believe that it's even about perpetuation anymore, is the fact that it's just what we've seen throughout time and history, that things have to go to a climax or have to, you know, come to a head before they can, you know, start over. When you know, I mean, think about it. You have people who do the conscious uncoupling, right? Since I was thinking about the Coldplay, we talked about that earlier at that concert, right? So it's like, so Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin were married to each other. Chris Martin's the lead singer of Coldplay. When they realized that they didn't want to be together anymore, they did it in a beautiful way. They didn't cheat on each other. They didn't fuck around. They just realized that like the relationship that they had was done, but they were so grateful to be able to co-parent their two children, Moses and Apple. And so, you know, over the years, they became even closer friends. He was with Dakota Johnson forever, but they just broke up. And she remarried Brad Falchuk, who was one of the creators of Glee. And so that's how she met him on the set of Glee. I saw this interview with her. That's why I know so much information. But, you know, it was just, she said she realized it. The more she was coming into her spirituality, she was just like, this relationship served me for what I needed when I needed it, but now this isn't right for me. I'm not, you know. So there's that kind of wonderful ending that we all want, right? Just like dying in your sleep. I mean, no pain, no suffering. You go to bed and you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's lovely. But on the shadow side is like what happened at the Coldplay concert, that these people so much in their fucking ego and into each other that they weren't taking into consideration that this could be filmed. They weren't taking into consideration that that Coldplay was going to put a love cam on them and get busted live. You know what I mean? The girl who put it up on her thing, I saw, they interviewed her and she said honestly she had no idea that it was going to turn into what it turned into. But, you know, at the same time, she was like, but I'm kind of glad. She's like, because that sucks. You know, who wants to be cheated on? Like, that sucks. And when people get so much in their ego that they're like, you know, you're going to cheat on your spouse, but you're going to go to a very public concert with millions of people who have phones now. You know what I mean? It's like, you get what you put out into the world. But the sad part about, like, they got their fucking instant karma. They got their comeuppance, but it sucks for the people who are connected to them, their extended family and children and all that. And especially the woman who had to find out that her husband was cheating on her. That sucks. You know, like, that's a fucking horrible, horrible thing. But that's the kind of stuff that we're just going to be constantly seeing. I've been seeing, like, you can't look at anything really right now without seeing some story of some tragedy happening somewhere. That is exactly what's happening. It's the unraveling of humanity for us to stop trying to control things and for us to see ourselves as loving light beings having a human experience and recognizing that the other person is the other person. I am you, you are me. This isn't some hokey pokey fucking woo woo shit. It's fucking real. We all come from the same place. Doesn't matter what color skin you are, what sex, whatever, none of it. Who you screwed, like none of that. You know? We're each having our own personal experience here. So this card is, these cards are calling to me, but I don't know if they want it. This one fell. Here's a good one. I am precious and cherish who I am. You are precious, right? And this is, my body is a mirror of my inner thoughts and beliefs. I nourish it with good foods and healthy exercise because I am precious and I cherish who I am. Cleaning it up, taking care of ourselves. On the other side of it, it says, I am worthy of my own love. I don't have to earn love any more than I have to earn the right to breathe. Oh, we had it on that side. That's right. So you are your own critic. You are your own. This one is pumping out too. I receive life's gifts with joy and pleasure and gratitude. Gratitude is a really good one because that's how the abundance comes. You know, the more you're grateful, like some people may look at my situation, my living situation, and be like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I literally had like someone who was in my life that's no longer my life, but they said, I would kill myself if I had your life. Honestly, they're like, I'm not trying to be mean. They're like, I don't know how you do it. Because the interesting thing is, it's like they're trying to compliment me, but they're really also saying like, it's really a negative against both of us. Drink some water. If you think of it that way. Because I have actually grown to love where I am right now. Even the location, you know, I've bitched about it and complained about it, but even that, it's brought so much healing to my life and things that I didn't want to look at or see. And also seeing that I knew when we started, you know, the remodel, there was going to be some damage. But when we were pulling other things out this week, when I saw, you know, the water damage or some of the mold stuff and I was treating it, I was a little frustrated, you know, because I knew that that's what was happening. And I feel like it just was like another year of that happening. But then Spirit was like, was it though? Because I always had, we were off grid for like years, you know? So we didn't have electricity. Well, now that we came to this, or the last two places that we were at, I can run my oil heater. And it actually was really powerful. When our propane heater broke, I was a little upset because when it got really cold, I'd put one on one side of the RV and one on the other. It's 35 feet, so I'd put one on each side. But, and then they would, you know, kind of circulate and keep it really warm in here. So when the propane heater broke, I was a little frustrated because I only had the electric one. But then I realized when I was going through stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that it worked out that way because the electric heater really dried this place out because propane gives off a lot of moisture. So, you know, it's like, it's all those little things that we don't think mean anything, or it's not that big of a deal, or how come this is happening to me, but it's actually happening for you. And so that's what I did the other night. I treated all the wood, and then the weather was really, really hot. It was like almost 90 here, which is really hot for us. But then it dipped down to like the 50s, and then it started raining, and I was like, shit, but it was actually perfect. I brought the heater over there and I treated it, and now it's looking better, and now I'll be able to like get it out easier. You know what I mean? It's like going with the flow and working with the elements is the same with our relationships with ourselves and each other. It's about working with the elements of the energy and the situation and the person and all that comes with it, really. Do we have any more cards? Any questions? I haven't seen any questions, so. Do we have any more mantras or, oops, oh shit. Oh, this one, my gosh, it was like it stuck to me. Oh, I love it. I allow myself to accept prosperity. And you know, this isn't a mantra so much as an energy. If you want to mantra it, I accept prosperity. I lovingly and openly accept it with grace and gratitude. I accept prosperity in my life with grace and gratitude. And just allow it. That's the thing, is I feel like people keep trying to have like the outcomes of things, and Spirit's saying like, don't be focused on the outcome. This is what they've been telling us forever about living in the moment. They want us to live in the moment because, you know, that's really all we have. Moment to moment, second to second. We're 2 hours and 29 minutes in. The beginning of this video is already the past. Something I was thinking about this morning and putting together, it's already happening. Depression is being consumed by the past, and anxiety is being consumed by the future. If you're suffering any of these inconvenient, uncomfortable energies, ask yourself why. Why are you feeling anxiety about the future? What feels uncertain? And who don't you trust? Yourself, spirit, all of the above? And then as far as the past goes, in a depression, then whatever you're depressed about or whatever, you know, it's like it's seeking you and it's sitting with you because it wants you to deal with it. It wants you to say goodbye to it. It wants you to let go of it. Allowing the energy, that's the secret. That is the secret. So on the back side it says, money is simply energy and an exchange of services. How much I have depends on what I believe I deserve. And that one's really hard. You know, the thing I love the most about this deck is how they use the different colors and fonts to get their point across. And look at how everything is in capitals until deserve. It's in cursive and in small letters. Like you're playing small, like you don't deserve it. We all deserve it. That's the thing. Do I deserve an inheritance from my family? Of course I do. What makes me any better or worse than my siblings? There's a lot of us, though. You know, my stepdad had, you know, children. My mom had children, you know, and I don't know if they left things to other people or whatever. Like, it's not about that. Like, I really even started to realize it so much more, because it really didn't, as far as I was concerned, when my mom passed, that was it. It was only when my mom kept coming to me to connect with this that it happened the way it did. I was perfectly happy to walk away and not like, I'm like, they can have it. I don't care. I'm like, I really don't care. And then my mom was like, I care. It's my money and I want you to have it. Or it's my whatever and I want you to whatever. So also, I think that no matter what it is, if it's anything at all, I feel like it's because to me, if there was any reason, like, or if there's any way that my mom owed anything, I don't think I'd be on a will. Why would I be on a will if my mom owed something? And even so with that, I don't understand that. If someone dies, it should just like everything should die with them. If someone owes something when they die, how does it fall to the family? How isn't that in any way the family's responsibility? You know, if someone spends a lifetime racking up credit card debt and then they just fucking die, in what universe does it make sense that it's like that's the company that allowed that to happen? You know what I mean? That's between my mom and the company. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just using it as an analogy. It's just really weird. Death is a really weird thing, and it brings out the not so great in people either. And sometimes it brings the good out in people, you know? But it's interesting because I spent a lot of my life thinking I didn't deserve much of anything. I was told I was too much. I was annoying. I mean, I can go on and on. Queer, weird. Why can't I be like everybody else? Because I'm not like everybody else. I'm not supposed to be like everybody else, you know? But A lot of shit's about to change. A lot of shit is about to change. Oh, another one. I forgot there was a third one in here. Wow, we're bringing them all out today because Spirit wants us to believe during this Lionsgate portal, during this Leo season and Leo moon, they want us to believe in miracles. I mean, it's been a minute since they aligned like this, meaning like a lot of people like myself that work in the spiritual realm. I love when a new moon starts close to like the sign. I always feel like it's because it feels like a fresh start all the way around. So it's cool that like we have the Leo season, and then like within 48 hours, it's going to be the Leo moon too, and then the Lionsgate portal. So it's like just so many beautiful, beautiful things. And I said if I was going to go to court, I'm like, well, that would be. I said to Jules, I'm like, can you imagine going through a court on during all those retrogrades and all that time? And they're like, yeah, but it's you though. Like maybe the whole point is that like exactly like for them, like it might not work out the way they want or whatever, but like it might work in your favor. And I was like, oh, that's so true. I'm like, I didn't think about it like that. You know what I mean? So it says, whenever I compare myself to others, I simply say this prayer: the light I see in them is a reflection of my inner light. Exactly. 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 I am good enough. I am precious. And I cherish who I am. Sadly, though, I tried to put my light on my family and was hoping it would beam right back to me, but it just didn't go down the way I thought it would. And if you're not having the same luck either, then this is just a wake-up call from Spirit to stop. Stop trying to force it. What makes me sad is knowing that some of our tribe members are still living in so much pain and suffering. So with that, I see the inner light in you, and just please see the inner light in yourself. You don't deserve to live like this. You don't. And I feel like some of us, it could be a karmic thing though. That's why I say to people, I'm like, keep checking in with Spirit, because it could be a karmic thing. And if it is, then, so be it. Like that's what it's meant to be. That's what, but don't pigeonhole yourself into believing that it is if it's not though. What narrative are you living under, and what story are you telling yourself? And sometimes when we, I've had, like I said, when I was at the laundromat, it was funny when I first got to the laundromat, it started out really good. And then I had a miscommunication with the person that works there. And I've been going there now for some time. So we kind of like have little sidebar chats and stuff. And so they know I'm spiritual. They know about my channels and stuff. And we had a miscommunication, and I had taken more than my share of machines. But before it started, there was like no one in there. And I said, you come here all the time. It was like Tuesday at like, 10 o'clock. And I said, what do you suggest, And they were like, oh no, it's fine. Cause they didn't ask me, and I didn't tell them like how long the cycles were going to be. And they were in their mind, were going on the average cycle. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. They're not like, those machines don't run that long anyway, or something like that. And I was like, well, that's what I was saying. I'm like, is it okay if I take those 2 big ones and then those like 2 medium-sized ones? I had like 10 loads of laundry, but I was like, I didn't want to be a jerk. It's a nice laundromat, but it's not like massive. So as I was getting things together, I have to put them in the machines, and then I have to put the soap in, and the vinegar, and I have to do all that, and then I have to put all the quarters in, and like the whole thing. So by the time they started, some guy had come in, and I guess he is a regular, and she said something about it's not even 10:30, but I didn't know what she was saying. Like she was trying to say like she had these regulars that come in around 10:30. So long story short, the guy comes in, he's pissed. He's huffy. He can't get the machines he wants. Everything's full. And it was weird because right when I started filling the machines, I'd already put the soap in, all that, but then, it's still like an old school one. Like I have to put the quarters in, and I'm using these big, massive machines. So it's like $13 a quarter for quarters, like per machine. I'm doing my rugs and my everything. Well, Alder was going to do construction. I just ripped everything out of here. Everything. I was just like, everything's getting washed. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to feel like that energy, rugs, the whole thing. And so he was huffy and he was so obviously like taking it out on me because he noticed that I was the one and like kind of getting up in my face and like getting close to me. Like he could have seen like the time and all that, but he's like he wanted me to know that I was, he was not getting what he wanted. And it was so childish, really. And he must have been in his 50s or 60s. So I look over at the laundry attendant and I was like, I kind of like shook my or like raised my eyebrows and raised my shoulders like, like you told me it was okay, kind of thing. So I kind of, did my thing. And then a little bit while later, I saw her talking to him. And when he walked away, I said, did he complain? Was he mad, that I took up 4 machines? And she said, well, I mean, that wasn't very cool. And I literally like looked at her and I go, I asked you specifically if it was okay. I'm like, I said, and I said my piece. And then she said, I thought you were running them on the whatever cycle, and that's only 25 minutes. And I said, no, I said, I thought you knew, like I told you I was like doing a deep cleaning on these. So it was like they were going to be 45 minutes a piece. So that's why he was pissed. But the funny thing is that when it all was said and done, the other machines were like becoming available. Like right after he had his tantrum, within 5 minutes of him having his tantrum, one opened up. He only had 2 things. And then and then the other person, it was 12 minutes. So he literally, like from beginning to end, like he had all of his stuff in the machines from the time he got there until 17 minutes, which in a laundromat is not that big of a deal. Like really, 17 minutes goes by so quickly. You play on your phone, you fucking walk outside, there's a grocery store next door. I'm like, like I saw him go to the grocery store. I mean, things just like, it's like, gosh, calm down. So she and I kind of started to tiff a bit. And I said, well, you didn't ask me how long, or you didn't ask me what cycles I was using. I said, I told you, she saw me because I asked her, I'm like, should I use this one for rugs? I was trying to be respectful. I was like, should I use this one, for this or that? It was so bizarre. So then a little while later, I went up to him and I said, I just wanted to tell you, I'm sorry. I said, the attendant and I had a misunderstanding. And I don't normally take up machines like that. I'm actually very nice about it. And she heard me talking to him and I can't, and he was like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. He's like, it's okay. He's like, it's a laundromat. I mean, hey, what can you do? And I was like, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like after he got his way, after he got his machines and all that. So I walked over to her and I said, hey, I kind of apologized to him about our misunderstanding or whatever. I said, but you never know why that stuff happens, And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I mean, you never know. I mean, he comes in here like clockwork. Other people came in, while I was doing things. So like, you know what I mean? It could have been, number one, it could have been somebody else. And I said, also, I said, for all you know, I'm like, I could have prevented him from getting in a car crash today. I said, I mean, you never know. I said, I know people want things to be like rigid and on a time. I said, but this is what Spirit has been trying to show us, that whether we want to be on a rigid timeline or not, that's not the way it always works. And if you actually go with the flow of things, you'll find that you don't have to be at the laundromat at this time and be at this place at this time. Like that's like a false imprisonment that we've given ourselves over society. That's part of the false matrix. That's like bullshit. And so she like lost her noodle and she's like, who the fuck are you to say like whatever? She's like, I can't believe you just said that. And I go, whoa. I said, I think you took that the wrong way. I said, I'm not saying I'm like, I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's when I realized I was like, man, oh man, oh man. I'm like, right. So people are like, oh, I'm woke or I'm spiritual. I'm like, no, I'm like, where is that coming from? For all I know, maybe she's somebody who's like a rigid scheduler and like whatever. And then people like internalize it and make it something else. So it was like really bizarre. And she just like went off and I said, okay, all right. You know what? I said, I think we just, again, I said, you know what? Mercury's going retrograde this week. Little miscommunication. I said, I'm sorry about that. I said, I'm just going to walk away. And I walked away and And then that's when I was talking to, then I started talking, then it was weird because the whole laundromat got like really like weird because people can feel, when someone has a big energy and they're pissed off, you can feel it. So that guy was like, and she was like, well, he's a teacher. And I said, what does that have to do with anything? I go, you can tell he was clearly in summer clothes. Exactly. He's a teacher and it's summertime. Like, why is he on some rigorous schedule? And even so, you're in a fucking laundromat. Unless you have a washer and dryer in your house, you can't fucking plan. He has no, who's to say that I wasn't there at all and some other people, you know what I mean? It was just a really interesting. So that's the kind of shit that I want you guys to like think about, like, especially Mercury retrograde. I said it to Alder. I was like, hey, just to remind you, Mercury retrograde, is going on and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, it's always so good for me. And I said, I know you're triple Gemini and it's your planet ruler, but at the same time, I'm like, you forget that like other people are not spiritually inclined or they're not awake or whatever language you want to put around it. I'm like, they don't know that. I'm opening the window. I said, they don't know that. So you are just an interloper, right? Like, so if you're in traffic or you're at the store or, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody is going to be going with that. And a lot of people don't know what the fuck Mercury retrograde is, or that it's in retrograde, or they don't even know that the other planets are in retrograde right now, or that it's a full moon, or unless they're looking at it, right? Like, obviously, you know what a full moon is because you can see it, but, you can't see the retrogrades. But it was so interesting. And then it was interesting, even more interesting, because then I started like connecting with all these really cool spiritual people, mostly women, but some men too. I had a really nice talk with this older gentleman, was very sweet. But like I kept finding like later on, the attendant kept trying to get my attention. Like they were trying to like, not in like a weird way, but like in like a nice way, like to smile at me. And I could tell that they probably had a little outburst. I probably held a mirror up to them in some way that like, because then they were over it and I could tell that they were like, I know what that feels like when someone goes off on you and then they feel bad about it. I've done it myself. So I know, where you're trying to be like, I'm sorry, I was an asshole. I'm sorry I went off on you, whatever. Cause I mean, just by the way they reacted and the way I reacted to them, I could tell that they knew that I was like, whoa, you took that way the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm here to fucking like, I'm some witch like manipulating this dude's like life. That's not the way. Nope. Sorry. But unfortunately, that's the kind of shit we're going to run into. So as long as you like stay, in the divine energy, stay in the place of love and compassion and forgiveness and understanding unconditionally, all of the above unconditionally, you'll be all right and you'll make it through these transits. But the next 6 to 7 months, we're going to see some shit. So be prepared. And you're going to, and also it may be hard for you to hear this, but you need to expose people. There's ways of doing it without being an asshole and smearing their face in the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've done that before. And that's why I say a lot of things you hear me say are from my own personal, the things that I did to others that I'm learning from too, or I've learned from. So, when someone, it's like kicking somebody when they're down. You don't want to kick somebody when they're down. They already feel like shit enough. You don't have to make it worse. But right now, we need to hold people accountable for their temper tantrums, for their, like that guy. I don't know what happened. They still haven't done the report. I have no idea why that guy crashed that tanker or what happened. But, even that, as gross and vile as that is, it was meant to happen. Washington State, we are like we're like huge on conservation. A lot of people are like, why do you live in Washington? Like, the politics suck, the taxes, the people. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I live on the Olympic Peninsula. It's a part of Washington. I wish Olympic Peninsula was its own thing because it's very different from the rest of the state of Washington. But we have our share of, the naysayers and the not so friendlies and all that. But 3,000 gallons of petroleum dumping into our waters is a big fucking deal. Like, it's not going to go unnoticed. It's going to be a big deal. And I don't know how that's going to come up or what's going to happen, but it's like when that started happening and they're having all those tanker spills and that shit was happening, it's the same here. There's just no way that that's not going to make a change of some kind. So it just goes to show that it's just time for big changes. Otherwise, it's like, You know, people can believe in climate change or not believe in climate change. It's not climate change. It's Gaia, an organism, saying, stop fucking treading on me, stop shitting on me, stop treating, you know, stop taking me apart and dismantling me and then reassembling me in any way that you see fit, even though it's toxic to the beings on my planet and toxic when it comes back to me. You know, it's just very interesting. All the dark magic is being exposed, all of the fakery. It's like, you remember that movie, The Skulls? And at the end, they're like exposed, you know, well, partially. They didn't fully get exposed, but you know, that one senator was like, you know, we have to do right by this guy or else we will be fully exposed. But that's the kind of shit that we're going to see over and over and over. And so many people have publicly said that they're no longer siding with the American president because of some of the things he said, where he was like, you know, if he's kind of doing that Bush thing during the 9/11, where he's like, you're either with us or against us. And he's like, you know, why do you want to see the Epstein files? Like, I'm telling you, they're fine. Like, I'm telling you, it's okay. I'm telling you, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, you know what, sir? With all due respect, I voted for you. And if there is a chance that you're a pedophile, we want to know about that. That's a really big fucking deal. And the fact that you don't want us to see them, it's like, if you're so forthcoming, why wouldn't you want people to see what's in there? So watch all of this shit get exposed, and it's going to happen in all the countries, all over the planet. We're going to see so many things. And in the link in the description box, that astrology documentary, you know, according to him, he didn't say anything about the sitting American president, how they're going to die, but he did say, and apparently he's never been wrong, but he said that the North Korean leader and the Russian leader are both going to die of heart attacks. And I'm like, that doesn't shock me. You know, greed and control and all that. It takes a lot of energy. It takes more energy to hate somebody than love somebody. Think about that for a second. And it takes more energy to try and manipulate and control than just let things be as they're meant to be naturally. And so whether they like it or not, it's about to happen. All right. Any more messages before we head out? Okay, that's it. Woo, we put in almost 3 hours today. Good job, you guys. And for those of you who've been in and out, thank you so much. Those of you who've been here since the beginning and you're still here, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the new people and welcome back to those who've been coming back. We honor you. And I want to thank all of our higher selves and our spirit guides and the animal guides and the ancestors and the gods and goddesses and all of those who were here today. All who were here in love and light for ourselves and each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will see you next time. This is, like I said, it's going to be a really busy week. So, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, I was going to do the yard tomorrow, but now I'm like, I have a feeling they're going to have me do something really powerful on the 24th. I haven't done a pick a reading in a minute, so look out for that. But also, if you guys haven't seen, I posted some older readings. Some of the timelines might not align, but it's interesting because it was a 3-year forecast, which I rarely ever do anything like that. And the cool thing is that we're at the end of that 3-year forecast now in real time. So you may find those readings very, very interesting. They're under, it was like a pick a reading, but I did them separate. Spearmint, lemon, rosemary, and clary sage. So whichever one you're aligned to, maybe there's something in there, you know, don't make it your story if it's not your story, but there might be a little bit of something in there for everybody. But check those out. And like I said, I'm going to be doing more work on my home and the property this week. And then I will be gearing up for the next, basically the next 3 weeks. Hold your horses, but stay in as much light as possible and stay in your own energy as much as possible. It's really important that you do. All right, Spirit, do we have any more messages, channeled or otherwise? Let me see if, I don't think so. I don't even know where my pendulums are. Oh, there's one. Hold on. I feel like there's something. Spirit, is there, are there any more messages for the tribe right now? Anyone in the tribe? Any questions that maybe they were thinking that we haven't covered? All right, you guys. Until next time, we're here every Sunday live at noon Pacific Standard Time until Spirit directs me otherwise. We will be doing these sessions. So they're different every week. There is a playlist for it so you can see what we've done. This was the 11th episode. So again, we thank the angels for being here with us and the 9 on the number 9 day and in a 9 year. We thank you, Spirit, and thank all the energies. I didn't do an energy channeling, but I have a feeling I'll be doing something like that this week as well. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just make sure to like, subscribe, share, you know, donate when you can, say prayers when you can for the exchange of energy, for all the work that is done on this channel. And yeah, until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I love you so much. Blessed be. Oh.